only right.
Starting it off this week, something new, guys. Flock, who is this new joint we're playing this week?
Oh, it's throwback, baby. Fab, Summertime Shootout 2.
Oh,
to the sky.
taking it back. Sonik Gemz podcast, you already know what it is. We are back in the building this time, representing and doing it live. New locations, new things, bringing you two great businesses today. Again, I go by the name of H1, Swahim Allah, Jerusalem Don, Black Morris, a.k.a. from Brooklyn. You already know what it is. Holla at your boy. My Neff came up with that one. Holla at the people, Neff.
Yo, what it do? Array Total Revolt, it's your boy Haitian Momoa, a.k.a. the darker Peter Parker. What's up with y'all, man? Life, love.
All right, perfect. Flacco, holla at the people.
Yo, you already know. Flacco, Mr. Demon Low, live in effect, live in direct. You already know what it is. What up?
4-day, holla at the people.
I feel so bad when y'all go last. Like everybody got all these AKAs. It's just
You missed
so
the life
that
of the party.
You know what? Yeah, life of the party.
Life of the party. Yeah.
I mean, I had a nickname in high school. It was just Day Day. But I think I've grown
Nah,
now.
we
No,
go
so I
life
just-
of the party.
Yeah, I just like life of the party. It's
Life
life
of
of
the
the
party.
party. That's how we do it.
Life of the party. Clap it up for life of the party.
LOP.
LOP. Hell yeah. LOP. LOP.
It sounds like a used condom. I don't know if I like that.
Woo, definitely not the effect we were trying to go for, ladies and gentlemen.
Just like
the
for the
type of
party.
vibe we getting on today.
Yeah, definitely not what we're trying to go for. We're going to start this off real quick. We're going to give a shout out to all of the sponsors. We should have some new ones this time. Yes, you already know. Again, shout out to all the sponsors. Again, Posh Blue Tuxedo Cakes and Desserts, Posh Blue Tuxedo Cakes and Desserts. Event planning as well, whatever you're looking for, weddings, baby showers, bar mitzvahs, just whatever your event is. Definitely go ahead and check them out. Posh Blue Atlanta on IG, Young Vets Apparel, shirts, hoodies, hats, all of those things. Check them out, Young Vets Apparel on IG. A couple of more sponsors. Hopefully after this podcast, we'll have a couple of new guys that are going to be coming on the fold as far as sponsorship as well. So if you guys are out there and you guys want to sponsor Sonik Gemz, just check us out on Buzzsprout. We actually have a couple of new things that you guys can check us on. Starting, as a matter of fact, this week. So you'll be able to check us out on iTunes, on Spotify, on Google Play, YouTube. We're going to be on every major platform. So every platform, you'll be able to go ahead and download Sonik Gemz. You check us out on Buzzsprout. You will be able to donate to Sonik Gemz as well. And you'll be able to sponsor the show or just donate to us if you just want, continue the show for us to continue to progress. Make sure you check us out and do that. So, we lit, guys.
Yeah.
What up, fellas?
What's popping, though?
Beautiful Sunday rather.
Yeah, Sunday. Total twist.
Yeah.
Total twist. Usually we do the podcast on Saturday, guys. But, today we're coming in a bit different this time around, doing it on a Sunday. But,
I'm excited.
yeah, I'm excited.
I'm excited
too.
because my bread and butter is business. So when we can get two young entrepreneurs talking about their business, how to get started. I like teaching people. So we have, like I just said, these guys have been in this business for.
We're in the era of entrepreneurs.
Right.
Gotta be. It
So
gotta
I
be.
think they've been in business for 7+ years.
Wow.
Altogether?
Individually.
each,
They've been
7 years.
been in the business for a
Fantastic.
long time. So they've had their ups and their downs, and just gonna spread that word of today, spreading that knowledge.
That's awesome. And these are black businesses, guys. I mean, these are young black men definitely doing their thing in the Atlanta area. So we're going to hit a couple of different industries. So we're going to have health and fitness, and we're going to have clothing and apparel as well. So it's just you're going to get a mix of everything. We're about to bring them in, too. But before we even do that, I don't know, we spoke how everybody's week. Is there anything new that happened in the world? Any new shit going on? I don't know of nothing.
I don't know if I want to speak on. I think the big thing was the pastor that they caught on the video.
Doing what?
Well,
I mean, you ain't gotta
are
ask.
you? So you didn't know about it?
No,
at
I don't
all.
know about it at all. Period.
So it's a pastor that's going out there, and I guess one of his young disciples, he got caught, but they videotaped him eating that monkey, and he was going like
Okay, the pastor.
the
was
pastor
was eating the monkey of
one of his people that go to the church,
one of the congregation.
one of the congregations.
Totally makes sense.
And they just, I mean, they went in. I think it was like on Friday. I mean, they were just going in on it. Like I didn't know nothing about it. As soon as I got a Facebook, that's what it just blew up.
But what's the problem with that?
I mean, pastors.
so
need
Well, he's
monkeys too,
married.
right?
right.
Well, he's married. He's married.
He's married, and it wasn't his wife.
It wasn't his
Oh,
wife.
okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna act like pastors don't fuck the congregation. That's bullshit. Everybody knows every pastor is fucking the congregation. They're fucking at least one.
Yeah, I understand it, but you ain't have to be called like that. It was just the way that he was getting props of eating. Like, this man been doing it for a while.
He the OG monkey eater.
He's the OG.
Chilling with my monkey. Chilling with my monkey.
So, I mean, that was one thing that was going on. Nothing really special went on this week. Same shit to me, but that was just blew from my social media. That's all I really
Nothing
know.
too crazy in the news world.
Yeah, it's all the same nonsense. Nothing has really changed. The
Yeah.
world is just what it is right now.
Yeah.
I don't know who's voting. Are you guys voting?
I am.
You're gonna
I
vote.
always
You
vote.
guys voting? You voting?
I think it's still important.
Yeah.
I always vote. I don't care.
I mean,
I
regardless-
mean, even though I
regardless of how-
stay in a red state, I know it's a Republican state. I
Right.
still vote. I don't care. Like because I can't be the one to complain about it if I had never had did it.
If you never did it right.
Right. So I still vote no matter what.
Do you vote local as well, or just
Yes,
like?
I vote local for my tax commission. For
Yeah, all
any
that.
acts that's
Sheriff,
passed around.
mayors,
Yeah, I'm big. I'm
governor.
big in my community. I just can't see people complain about everything. Like, well, why the tax went up? Because you ain't vote. That's what they have to pass those laws. If you not twiddling your thumbs, or you just worried about what's coming out on AMC or something like that, then you have to get out there and vote. I'm sorry.
I wonder how many people actually look at what they're voting at.
Most people just go
Yeah.
Democrat.
Yeah,
Democrat,
that's what I'm saying, right, like-
Republican. Like they don't care
But
what
they don't
they're
really
voting
care
for.
what they're
Nah.
voting for.
They have
Like,
no idea. They're like, so we're gonna let pedophiles in the schools. They're like Republican, Democrat. They just go down the line.
Yeah, it probably just going on line. But I mean, if you did pay attention to it, it's really, really big for your community. Like I know where I stay at, they just voted on a park, and then we voted against a Walmart that was gonna go up. They're gonna probably put maybe 15 mom and pop stores out of business, and we voted to veto that. We vetoed that over there. And
keep the mom and pops alive.
Right. So you know what I mean. So you have to pay attention for your community. If you don't, then you just sitting on it.
Walmart is like Godzilla when it comes into a community.
Yeah.
Like they're
everything
just
up.
stomping everything. You can't compete with Walmart.
No.
It's an impossibility.
Once they throw that flag up, it's pretty much done. So you really have to pay attention. If you don't, I mean, even if you own a property, you need to pay attention to it because those taxes hit, and you could be missing out on anything. You just never know.
I feel like, it's always compared to Walmart, QT. I don't know why, but I'm always like, when the QT comes in, like they build a QT anywhere.
Yeah.
Like they're like, and when they come in, it's a whole wrap for whoever else got gas in the
I know
area.
a couple places. Funny because you mentioned QT, because I know like maybe 3 places around in the city where they tear it down on one side just to rebuild it across the street.
I'm telling
Yeah.
you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a
Yeah. All
super
the time.
fact.
And
QT
now they
is a
got the whole
conglomerate.
restaurant feel and
They got
Yeah.
the kitchen and all the other stuff.
They're doing that.
For those of you outside of Atlanta, QT is Quick Trip.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, quick
it
trip.
started as a gas station.
I mean, if
but
you're up
now
north, is what 7-Eleven?
Pretty much.
Yeah, 7-Eleven.
Yeah,
Yeah,
7-Elevens are pretty big too, but
Yeah,
that's more
up
up north.
But that's more
Right,
up
That's
north.
right,
more up
yeah.
north. Like,
Q-tips are the southern 7-Eleven.
that's
yeah,
true.
Basically.
Yeah.
basically.
You guys ever been to a Wawa?
Wow.
Yes,
yeah,
I've been to
Yeah,
Wawa.
I
Yeah.
Love Wawa, my God. Love Wawas, man. I mean, if you're going to have a store, it might as well
Jersey.
be all together. Gas, food,
Facts.
whatever it is, everything that you need, you just get it all in one place and you Gucci. But shout out to QT. I don't know if I'm shouting you out because your gas is cheaper. Is it actually cheaper still? I don't
No.
really know.
Y'all never thought of why it's cheaper? It's in the name.
Quick trip?
Quick Trip.
That gas is gonna go quick. You gonna get to the next one and need to
That
fill
is
up
a
again.
fact. That is a fact, bro. You go over 65, you back on E
It's a wrap.
super quick.
That's why they everywhere. Like, boom, next week trip, boom. You need
Makes-
gas.
yeah,
again.
That's true. Best gas to me
why
is
not
always
get
BP.
a slice of pizza or
Is
a
there a
hot dog
best
while you
gas?
in there?
BP can last in my car forever. Like BB gas burns them are Exxon.
I don't know, after that last ordeal,
I don't know. I
haven't
never
been at
really
BP
paid
for a while.
attention. Once I put
Really?
gas,
What
I'm
happened at
gas.
BP?
Like
Nah, I
Remember a
think
few
some
years back
gases
when they
are
had the
better,
oil spill?
man.
I mean,
In the ocean.
Typically, you see that they're even a little bit more expensive.
That's true.
Like, they're
They
always a
really
little
wanna
bit
buy
more.
that.
They
A
be
little
like
bit
10
more?
cents more.
right. I don't know, man. I mean,
Yeah.
me, my cars are unleaded anyway, so I'm pretty much good. The only
Good
time I
anyway.
used any gas when I had my BMW for like 6 months, and then I sold it. Because other than that, it's just unleaded.
Yeah. Hit regular guys, whatever. Is it
Shout out to
85?
87.
Shout out to
the regular.
87, baby.
87.
Shout out to 87, my nigga. Shout out to 87. Boop, you. That's what we still call niggas now. You mad 87, son. You mad regular. You mad regular, B.
He's smoking at 87.
You
huh?
smoking that 87, huh?
87.
It's that regular, so you need that premium. Hit that 93. You already. Got a couple of great black entrepreneurs that are in the building. Welcome to the Sonik Gemz podcast. We got our man Chris Hudson in the building. So let's clap it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Owner of Life's Journeys Clothing, doing this thing in the Atlanta area. Chris, say what's up to the people.
What's up, everyone? What's up? I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me. Much respect to you guys for doing this as well.
Man, we
So,
appreciate you being
appreciate
here,
you
my
coming
brother.
through.
We
For sure.
appreciate
For sure.
you being here. All right, so let's just get to the nitty gritty. I don't got no nitty gritty. I'm talking shit. Anyway, so Chris, tell us a little bit about yourself
Yeah.
and like your business, kind of just like how you got started and everything like
Definitely.
that.
What's
Yeah.
the life's journey of Life's Journey?
Word.
yeah, man. What's the life journey?
good one. I
It's
like
a good
that.
one, man. Yeah. So I grew up. I'm from Lexington, Kentucky originally. Was just a young man, just trying to find my way. Pretty much just come from a really great home. Mother and father both present.
That's
just
that's
yeah,
big.
yeah,
that's
big
good.
time.
That's
It was a
dope.
good
Big
thing,
time.
So I was, I had that guidance, what I mean, from my father and my mother. She was very stern and with her discipline, so that helped mold me into the man that I am today. Just really just trying to, like I said, man, just trying to find me, trying to find my way in life. So I was just one of those guys, man, that grew up. I was a class clown in high school. When it was time to
Definitely
graduate,
in the class clown club. Definitely was in that club. I might have been the president
sure.
of that
Class
shit.
clown,
Facts.
Yeah.
gang, gang.
I'm
Yeah,
not-
gang.
I'm
for
the
sure.
ambassador.
For sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
I'm
so
the
when it was
bastard on
time
that
to
one.
transition to when it was time to transition to college, man, I just really didn't have a clue of really what I wanted to do. So I just found myself just more of an outsider. All my friends were going to college, going to university, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do, man. So I just remember just being in prayer about, God help me find my purpose. Show me what it is that you want me to do. And I've always loved fashion. I've always loved to help people. I've always had a heart for people. So I kind of took the two and merged them together, man. So one night, like I said, just remember praying. Wanted to start my clothing line. Didn't know anybody in my city that had a clothing line. So at that time, I just kind of did the research on my own, just trying to figure it out, right? But I just remember just praying, and the name just kind of hit me, Life's Journey. And from there, man, like they say, the rest is history,
Fantastic.
Yeah.
When it's funny because I think we all have that feeling. Like it's a weird time, like after high school, and like unless you're gonna be like a doctor or lawyer, you've known this your whole life.
Definitely.
But like when you want to be an entrepreneur, it's like something that comes from the heart, and it's like one of those things where you're like. All entrepreneurs go through that weird space of never knowing what they're gonna do, like
sure.
what the next step is gonna be.
Definitely.
It's also when you decided, all right, I'm gonna definitely do this.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things you focus on Sonik Gemz is always saying step one.
For sure.
Right? Because I think that's where everybody gets stuck. It's
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
what's the first of the first thing?
Yeah,
You know
definitely.
what I mean? Like, did you go about, all right, I'm going to get a loan to just kind of get this started. I'm going to use some of my savings. Maybe I got a credit card. Maybe, my moms and pops, they put together and,
Yeah.
we kind of, how did you, what was the very first thing you did to say, I'm going to get Life's Journey off the ground?
Yeah, the hardest part of starting anything is the beginning, right?
Factory.
Most people never really start because they never know how to get past the beginning, and that's the hardest part.
Yeah,
So for me, like I said, with my father being present, I worked with him in his cleaning service. He had his janitorial service, so he instilled work ethic and discipline into me. So what I did is, from working with him, I saved up my first $300 to print my first 24 shirts. From printing my first 24 shirts, that's when I went to friends, family, cousins, different people like that, and I would sell my T-shirts at $12. I would make a profit off of those shirts. I was getting my shirts at that time $5 a pop, sell them for $12, $7 profit, take that money, reback up, and just keep going from there. So that was like the first steps for me, was just taking the money that I saved up, which is $300, and then printing that first batch of T-shirts. As I continued to grow with the brand, I realized I had to get a trademark. So from there, that's when I had to work a little bit harder. I had to get, ask my dad to borrow some money to kind of, use that towards, my brand. And that's what kind of helped me further on my mission with the brand.
I'm gonna tell you why I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah.
Because you're mad honest.
Yeah, definitely.
About like, yo, I was like, Pops, what's up?
Yeah,
I need a
definitely.
couple bucks. Let me get this
sure,
to
yeah.
move on.
I'm
Definitely.
gonna pay you back.
Yeah.
I'm up here, right?
I'll
Because
pay you back.
people lie about that. Like
Yeah,
all
for
of
sure.
a sudden, like, yeah, I was in the streets, sold mad drugs. No, you didn't.
Yeah.
You didn't do any of that,
For
bro.
sure.
And I think it's just good to be honest about it, because that's starting a business is not easy.
Yeah, it's
and the
not.
fact that you already had that support,
For
like,
sure.
and your pops is, and he's already an entrepreneur because
Yeah,
he already
definitely.
had his own
Yeah, for
janitorial
sure.
business.
Yes.
So you were kind of raised in the entrepreneurial spirit
Definitely.
already.
Yes.
And it's great that he like saw your vision. Did you get any pushback? Was he like, you know what, son, just kind of go to college maybe, or like finish college or whatever it is, or just go this route? Did he give
Push
you
you a
any
certain
pushback?
route and
Yeah.
No, you know what I think with anything, right? What I tell people all the time, it's kind of hard to become what you don't see. So if you don't really see that, then it's kind of, you looking at it like, I don't know if that's going to work, right? So I think from that angle, that my parents were very supportive, but they didn't know if it would work. Just doing a T-shirt thing, they would think, oh, this is just something side. It wasn't until a couple years later they realized, like, oh, this is, actual big deal that Chris is doing. When I put together my first fashion show in the community of Lexington, Kentucky, I didn't take a lot of my own money. I did sponsorships. So I ended up raising $2,500, almost $3,000. So
Nice.
I took that money from local businesses within the Lexington area, put together my first fashion show. Wasn't for sure how it was going to go. We ended up selling it out. It was like 550 plus people. So from that moment, that's when they knew, like, oh, okay, yeah,
that
So
was an
from that
exciting
moment,
moment.
that's when they was able to see, the dream really manifest and see, like, oh, okay, this is not nothing he's going to do on the side. Like, I see this really, doing well. So
What was the time frame and all of that going down? 'Cause
Yeah.
you could tell the story, and then some people's minds be like, "Oh, next day he just."
Right.
No.
Absolutely.
So I think when I started, I think at the fashion show we did it back in 2012. About 2012. So I was 4 years into the brand.
Okay.
From that, yeah. So what I always tell people, for me, the reason why I feel like that many people came out is because, of course, you have your models, of course, their family members are going to come out. You have other people at the show. But what I really focused on with building the brand was relationships first, business second. So
Right.
for me, a lot of people took a liking to me because I wasn't just selling them a shirt. You know what I mean? I was selling them the concept of life's journey. Getting to know them, getting to know their family members if they had kids, so they really took a liking to me. So from then, they was like, oh, I want to support this brother. So they would tell, their friends, and they was bringing out 2 to 3 people. So that's kind of how, we had that
And that's
crowd.
dope, because relationships are definitely important. Like,
Networking
nobody's
is
going to
big,
support you
for
if they
sure.
don't like you.
Networking is
You know what I mean?
big.
So
It's huge.
that is
Integral part of
definitely a
everything,
major
Yes.
part of the aspect of the business,
1000%.
especially doing it for yourself.
Yes.
Like,
That's a
everybody's
fact.
just thinking, oh, you just want some money, or you just doing this. And with life's journey, there's a message behind it. It's not just a print on the shirt.
Definitely.
And
Yeah.
it look dope. He got a motto or slogan or something dope that people can relate to.
For sure.
So that's definitely a dope part of it.
Yeah.
So, as far as like, even as you're talking about, you had this vision, right? And kind of executing that, like, how did that process kind of play out in terms of, when you're actually planning for these things, right? And that's a lot of work on one person.
Yeah, definitely.
Building maybe a team around you, how did you maybe go about that? Were people that you already maybe knew, or, maybe, I guess, just friends, you know what I mean, that you
Yeah.
kind of bring on, or how did you go about it? What was your process?
That's a great question. So for me, I've always been like a doer. I always wanted to, like, sometimes I won't even do the research. Sometimes I'll just go and do it. And through doing it, that's when I actually learned throughout the process. But what was really good for me, I was fortunate to kind of have some friends that actually see me putting in the work and is like, hey, you know, how can I help you? So at that particular time, I was just getting a lot of good friends coming around, just helping me out. They didn't want money at the time, so it's just like, oh, how can I help this brother, you know, really fuel his vision? Because at that time, living in Lexington, Kentucky, there wasn't a lot of entrepreneurs really doing the works that I was doing in terms of community engagement. I was doing charity basketball tournaments, even from the fashion shows. A lot of initiatives that I was doing, a lot of people wanted to kind of help me. So I was very blessed and fortunate to kind of have, you know, a lot of friends come and help me with building
That's
that.
definitely dope.
Awesome.
That's definitely
For sure.
dope.
Because I was even thinking when you were talking about like the models and stuff, like what was it, like ads? I don't know what was out back then, the internet, or how did you kind of
so
like use that vehicle?
so what we did, man, we just printed up flyers. We went to like the clubs, passed out flyers. Hey, we having a model call. We used social media at the time, and just like I said, just word of mouth from people, and people want to be a part of it, and that's kind of how it went from there. So,
That's super awesome. 40, I think you had a question.
I mean, I have several questions.
Oh, okay. You got to be extra.
I mean,
Miss
yeah, I
Select
do.
Party.
But I mean, but look,
So 1A.
I know.
yeah.
I mean, but business is my bread and butter, but marketing is what I love to do.
Definitely.
So, like, from your marketing aspect, what do you think is the most challenging thing you have competing with even the local small businesses around and to the actual big market people that's actually out there?
Good question.
That's a great question.
Good question.
So can you repeat that one more time?
So, like, what are the questions you have for marketing compared to the local? Because everybody nowadays, like, oh, I got a shirt I want to sell, I got a design I can sell.
Right.
To competing with them to actually a spot on to the big market people, like the people that's like Tommy Hilfiger and FUBU and what else is out there. I don't really
FUBU, FUBU. You know, for me, that's a really great question. So for me, I kind of took the concept of what Nike's doing. I really love the engagement with Nike because just studying that brand, how they added the slogan, just do it, really transpired to a lot of people in terms of connecting with their audience from an emotional perspective. So that's just really what I try to do with Life's Journey. I try to educate, and I try to just take people on a journey. I try to tell stories through the clothing. You know, it's more of a storytelling. So whether that's through photos, visual representation, just whatever that is, from that marketing perspective, I try to connect with people from an emotional standpoint, like, you know, make them believers. Like, everybody in their life has been at a point where someone has doubted them, right? So I always say, hey, use that fuel to make people believe in what you do, you know, and even the grind is not going to pay off right then and there, but just stay consistent. And as long as you stay consistent, you know, everything will fall into place for you. So I just use a lot of my slogans to kind of tie in to really help everyday people just get through everyday life. You know, that's my marketing.
And I think that's what adds on to it, because slogans and what you represent, what Life Journey represents, is dope. It's not just a picture on a shirt that can mean that the owner may not even know what it means.
Definitely, yeah.
Right. I mean, you have a story behind your slogans or pictures or whatever you put on the on your brand that people can relate to.
Definitely, for sure.
So that definitely goes a long way.
You said you had to use
Yeah,
question
I
like.
have several questions.
Yeah, go ahead with your
He had-
part two.
This
of
is
your
one.
que- of
This
your
is
question.
1B.
So there's a 1B.
Yeah.
So like next question is, everybody who's been in business has hit that wall. Everybody knows who started their own business, they've hit a wall. What kept you going past that wall? But you want to climb that wall, go around that wall, dig underneath that wall, but you just that wall. A lot of people don't know about that wall because it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna start this business and third, and it might be something you haven't done anything wrong, but it's just a wall that is you have to get over it.
Yeah, that's a great question too, man. My son, my family, my legacy. I think a lot about when I look at life, I look at it from a perspective of we all have to leave our contribution, you know, on earth. And when I think about my life and I look at the walls that I actually encounter, it's always like I have something that I'm supposed to leave on earth. So I want to make sure that every single day I wake up that I'm actually contributing to that gift or that purpose that I'm supposed to leave on earth, whether that's inspire, motivate, or help the next person get through whatever they're going through to make it in life. So I always look at it from that perspective, like everything in life, the obstacles, all it is just a learning lesson along the way, you know what I mean, for a bigger purpose at the end. You know,
Well,
Perfect.
Yo, I just gotta say, man, I met this brother, you know, not too long ago, but I feel like you made a believer. You know what I mean?
you, bro.
Because you're just your whole energy,
Thank
you know, if you will, is just it kind of exudes that positivity. You know
Thank
what I
you,
mean?
bro.
And
Facts.
I think that,
Yeah,
especially as black males in the society,
for sure.
of course, not just limited to black males, but just saying that, you know, for minorities at large, I think that's a very important thing to have positive. Not just imagery, but you know, just that kind of message.
Definitely,
you know what I mean,
yeah.
that you're putting out there. I think is very important.
So
So
you
thank
can
you.
you can
know what I
feel
mean?
that it's genuine. Because
It's
even when we
genuine. Yeah,
met,
absolutely.
when we
Yeah.
met,
Absolutely.
I had to cop that real quick. Like,
Yeah,
I loved it. I
Yeah,
feel it
sure,
already.
absolutely.
Like boom. And
Appreciate
yeah, I
that,
was
bro.
slick tight because I went online. I was like, damn, everything I wanted is sold out.
Yeah,
Right.
Sure, yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm like, yo, when is this coming back?
Yeah.
But
For
it
sure,
is, you
man.
can feel the genuine in your brand. Like that's real
you,
dope.
bro.
You don't get that too much. It's just meeting people like they got a right.
Yeah, for
Or
sure.
there's an underlying
Yeah.
there's an underlying concept behind it. Like
Definitely.
you really can't tell.
For sure. Appreciate that, man.
And I mean,
Respect.
speaking of which, too, like what does what's next for Life's Journey?
Man, it's a great question. So I'm doing a pop-up shop tour 2020. So I just purchased a mobile boutique truck. So
what's
I've
up.
been rest in peace to my cousin, man. He was supposed to actually help me work on the truck.
Rest in peace to fam.
Rest in
yeah,
peace.
I'm actually my guy Shannon Justice, but I'm actually been putting all the work on the truck, so we pretty much gutting it out. So it's gonna be like an actual storefront, and then we just taking it on the road.
Taking it on the
2020.
road.
Supposed to do 2019, but I just wanted to kind of develop more of a following before we actually take that initiative and go. But yeah, that's the go, man. Just going directly to the people, man.
That's
You know
what's
what I
up.
mean?
You
Yeah,
can't rush good things.
for sure.
1,000,
Yeah,
bro.
definitely.
How do you deal with the haters, Chris? Because there's gonna be haters.
Yeah,
Because you're
yeah.
a positive guy. You're doing great positive things, so the negativity has to follow.
Yeah, it does.
There's always
Yeah.
gonna be
He
some
has a pastor
asshole.
with him.
Huh?
He has a pastor with him.
Yes, what?
He has a pastor with him. I'm serious.
Oh,
the
for
guy,
real?
the other guy I met, right? He's a pastor, right?
You
Is he a pastor?
talking about Jeremiah?
Is
No,
that
no.
his, I just
Jamil?
know, I just call him pastor.
Okay.
He told me he was a pastor. I don't know if
Okay.
he really is, but he told me. I hope he's a pastor. I mean, I'm not young, so I should be good, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. Not. Nah. You know, how I view the hate, man. Honestly, I think it's with most people. I think it's just a personal thing that most people go through, right? So I think I read this book called The Four Agreements, and it said not to take anything personal. So I think when the hate does come, I think it's just more or less with whatever that person may be dealing with within themselves. But for me, I use it as motivation, man. That's when I first started. A lot of people didn't really like the concepts, the slogans, the T-shirts, but I just stayed true to me, man, and that's what kept me
I
focused.
mean, what they
you know
say,
I mean?
that if you ain't got people hating, then you doing
You
something.
ain't doing
you
it
ain't
right.
doing it right.
Fact.
For sure.
And you know what's crazy? Usually you get the most hate from where you come from. Like in your neighborhood, in your town, that's when
Yeah.
people hate you the most. Because for some reason, people get stuck in this whole thing of, well, I should have been the one to do it first.
Yeah, definitely.
So were you getting any of that coming from Kentucky and being the first one to say, I'm going to have my own clothing line and doing it the way that you did it? You get a lot of pushback from people that are like, man, Chris, that shit ain't going to happen, bro.
Yeah, I think when I first started, I think going back to what I was saying before, it's kind of hard to become what you don't see. So I think when people didn't see anybody doing anything of that sort, I think it was more or less people like, nah, that ain't gonna work. People not taking it serious. A lot of people who I thought was gonna support me didn't. But I've been very blessed and very fortunate, man, to really have my city behind me, like for real. And it's been an honor. I'm sure that there are some people out there that, I can feel the energy. I know that they're not really, genuinely happy for me. But for the most part, man, I've been able to have my city, behind me. And I think it just comes back from what I was saying, just building relationships with people. And
That's dope, man.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah,
And that's a great thing, too. When people are not hating and they're actually supporting you. And
Yeah.
having your city on your back is like a great thing.
Definitely.
That definitely takes things to another level, man.
For sure.
I mean, Life's Journey, I love the name all by itself.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Like,
man.
Life's Journey is so
It
fire.
pulls you
like,
in.
Yeah, it makes you think, and then the whole make them a believer. Just even what you. First of all, let me let you guys know when you watch this video, he's a very spiffy dresser.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Just let you guys know.
Appreciate it, man.
He's kind of spiffy.
You
but
can't
he's
get that shit
retired.
without not
for
being
sure.
a spiffy dresser.
Yeah, I'm saying you can sell clothes and not be a spiffy dresser,
Definitely.
but he's a pretty spiffy dresser.
Appreciate
So
it,
I'm like,
man.
so you guys definitely support. Now,
Thank you.
Chris, like, where can do you have your website up? Like, how can people like find you? Where can they go check you out? And like, before we even get there, I wanted to ask you. So, you got the kiosk. Right now in Cumberland Mall. For those who don't know, Cumberland Mall is in Atlanta, Georgia. This is where the location is. You got the kiosk there. How is that even getting that? Because that's not you know what I mean? It's not only necessarily challenging, but it's very pricey.
Yeah,
like
very
to
pricey.
be in a mall.
For sure.
It's like super pricey. You know what I mean? And your location
that
particularly
mall,
is
that's
mad.
not
It's like a lot of traffic.
For sure,
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
So how'd you go about like? Was that a challenge, like to do that and to consistently keep up with like just kind of the monthly things that come with that?
Great question. Yeah, no, it was a challenge, man. To be honest with you, man, I actually consulted with a few people, you know what I mean, and before I actually made that transition, there was a guy, David Sleepers for Suckers. He was actually there before me. I think he had a 5-year run. So I actually kind of reached out to him and one other guy just to kind of see, what's the pros and the cons? And, he was like, oh, it's good, but really no cons besides, the rent and the overhead and trying to find really good people. So for me, man, I was just like, you know what, bro? Like, I'm gonna just do it. I'm gonna just take the leap. I paid the money, and like the response has been overwhelming because I think, the quality, but it's been also a transition in my life where it's actually got me out of my shell a little bit more because you have to go, like people walking by all day, you know what I mean? You got to pull them in to tell your story. Like you don't have nothing but 5 to 10 seconds, at max. So you got to be able to convince them, not necessarily convince them, but just tell them your story. So yeah, it's been a transition, man. And then keeping up with inventory because you get a lot of people that want certain items, you don't have the inventory. So it's been a challenge. It still is a challenge, but I've been finding a way.
That's
to make
awesome.
it work. So
yeah, I mean, you're making them believers. That's why they're stopping by and supporting. And
definitely.
like everybody was saying, I mean, you just have a positive vibe, so it's like easy to draw people. I won't say it's easy, but it's like you can draw people into what you're doing because what you're doing at the end of the day has a great positive, positive message that comes along with that. So that's very unique, all within itself. Because you could have made T-shirts or clothing saying anything.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
But make them believers is like it has connotations can come from any different way. If you're struggling, make them believers. You want to do it, make them believers. You have a vision, make them believers. It all kind of goes into you want to be an MC, you want to be in the music, make them believers.
Make them believers.
You know what I mean? It can
sure.
take so many facets behind that. And that's pretty damn awesome. But I remember when we were speaking at the spot, like you were telling me, you had a couple celebrities that even were backing you.
Definitely.
So talk about a couple of those guys.
Showed
you some love.
It's crazy. So the first big celebrity that actually wore the brand that actually really helped me get on a national level was 50 Cent. I met him at a networking event here in Atlanta. I seen he was gonna be there. Told my homie like, let's pull up on him. I figured out I didn't know what size he gets, so I just took a large. Ran up on him at the event. He had a security around him. Was like, yo, man, I got a brand. It's called like Journey. I didn't get to talk to him that long. But for the time that I did, it's like, yo, I brought you an item, check it out. He's like, okay, give it to my mans. The next day, man, I think I just remember saying a small prayer about it. You know what I mean? Within 2 days, man, he ended up wearing it. It was on TMZ. It's all on his Instagram. He went in the studio and he did like a video. It had like 200,000 plus views. And that right there just really kind of helped out. So 50 Cent, comedian Lil Rel, DC Young Fly, Waka Flocka came in to get something.
I was just about to say, I saw Waka on there wearing.
Carl Anthony Towns. He plays at Milwaukee. Man, it's a lot of people, man. Trying to name them off the top of my head. Lecrae.
Oh yeah, you don't gotta name everybody. I mean, you killed it with 50 alone. That was a wrap after that. I was like, well, that's good. That's about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but so before we let you go, let's go ahead. Just talk about the business, how the websites, Instagram, plugs, anything you want to do, anything events you got coming up in the next month.
Yeah.
Holiday shopping. any
Yeah.
sales,
Yeah,
whatever you want
right.
to do.
Yeah. Christmas is coming up.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Christmas
But
coming up. Yeah.
Christmas is coming up.
Yeah,
it's
for
your,
sure.
It's your 5 minutes to plug.
Definitely, yeah.
Go ahead, work it out.
Yeah. So you can find the brand at www.lifesjourneyclothing.com. I always tell people we all have a life's journey, and just add a clothing on behind that, and that's how you find us on Google.
Awesome.
My Instagram is Life's Journey CO. That's the business, and the personal is just Chris Hudson _JRNY. So yeah, we got some holiday specials coming up as well. Got some new jean jackets releasing.
Sweet.
Yeah. So
I love
looking
jean
for
jackets.
it.
I'm wearing one, so.
For sure, yeah. Got those dropping. A couple sweatsuits. Some more vintage backpacks releasing as well. So
Sweet.
yeah.
Now I didn't see hats. That's coming too.
Yeah, we got some more hats coming too. Yeah. Hats
That's
kind
my
of sell
thing,
out
hats.
really quick.
That's my thing right there.
For sure.
I got one last question for
Uh-huh.
you. Because you mentioned prayer a lot throughout your conversation.
Mm-hmm.
How big is your faith into where you are now? How big is your faith into your brand?
My faith is when I look at my faith, it is everything that's made me who I am today. I look at life as we have two choices. Either, you can be fearful or you can be faithful. Faithful. So for me, it was more of just understanding that no matter what, I'm going to be all right. You know what I mean? And just knowing that everything that I go through in life, all it is just lessons, it's just steps. It's certain things that I encounter that help me become who I am today. And without that, I wouldn't be where I'm at, And I think for a lot of people, most people never truly tap into their true potential because they allow fear to hold them back.
Factory.
And for me, it's just like, hey, we can operate in this side of fear, or we can operate on this side of faith. And, and if you believe, then just know that God got you. You know what I mean? And that's just how I live my life. But you also have to put in the work as well. So
Faith without action doesn't work.
It doesn't
Everything
work. It's
everything
dead,
work
man.
that don't come easy.
For sure.
I'm telling you.
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
awesome. Any good questions?
Yeah.
Any last?
You want to give any shout outs last minute? Shout out to
Man,
Kentucky,
you know
of
what?
course.
Yeah.
right? Shout out to
Man,
Kentucky.
Yeah. Shout out to my city, Lexington, Kentucky. Got a lot of hungry entrepreneurs up and coming out of the city, man. So I ain't gonna shout out anybody individually because I don't want to miss anyone. But it's good to see the city. It's good to see. It's good to see how the city's really growing. Just leaving. I when I look at Lexington, I look at I'm very thankful for the footprint that I actually left. For the city, because I think sometimes all it takes is one person, and when they are inspired by what someone else does, you see a gradual effect. So that's what's going on in the city right now, and a lot of up and coming businesses. So shout out to my city, hometown.
Shout
Kentucky,
out to Kentucky.
Yes,
Ladies and
sir.
gentlemen, Chris Hudson, Life's Journey. Make sure you check them out. You know what I mean? We're definitely going to put up some of his pieces on our IG as well. Of course, Sonik Gemz is what we do here. Young black man, great business sense, great guy, positive. Make sure you guys support. Check him out on his website, buy his stuff. Make sure you guys continue to support. We need him to continue to grow and keep doing that. And that's what we do, is we support great black business.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Fantastic.
Appreciate you, man.
Man, that was so dope, man. That was great. Chris Hudson again came in. Another great black. We have a lot of great black entrepreneurs, man. I'm loving the way the city is moving right now. Atlanta's probably one of the biggest cities that has so many black entrepreneurs in it.
It's the era for it. Everybody
is.
trying to get it for their own.
It's Black Hollywood. That's what it is.
But we full though. No move, no more. We full.
We are, man. Atlanta
We don't
is
need no more
mad
migrants
full.
over
Hey
here.
man, they moving from Kentucky
need
to
no more
about
migrants.
Iowa, South Dakota.
That's
I'm
true.
I'll make
We are
half the
full.
clothing.
Traffic is bad enough, guys. Keep your ass wherever you at.
That was
You know
before
what I
all
mean?
of us came here.
Exactly.
That's true. Yeah, we all came. Now everybody else just came down too.
Follow us.
It's all good. All right, so we're going to go, man. We're going to move on. We're going to get to our next great entrepreneur in the building. I'm going to let Forday, I'm going to let you take it over, make the introduction, Sonik Gemz style you already know.
This would be like the special introduction I've never done from anybody else. Like, I've known this man. Like, we used to sleep three by the bed. Like this. Like I grew up.
Let's not start there.
It's like right, hey, bro, hey, go ahead and stop the whole recording real quick.
Hey, edit point.
Go ahead and edit that whole point out.
Just put it like this. Like, this is my younger cousin, but I always picture him as my older cousin. Like, he inspired me so much. He's done so much.
That's funny you said, because I always thought he was your older cousin.
Yeah, he's not. I'm older. Not by much.
I thought it was him, you, then Shay.
No. It's me. It's me. Like, I call his mom my mom. You know what I mean? That's how close we are. I'm talking about, like, he's done so much, and he's passionate about everything he's done. Like, you know that one cousin you got you never have to worry about?
No.
No?
My cousins out
I don't know
there.
that one
My
either.
cousins
Yeah,
are
that
wild,
one cousin.
son.
Okay, all
My
right.
cousins are
Well, I
wild.
got
Shout out to
another special
Dudley.
one, but I always knew he always had a talent, and whatever he put his mind to, that I know he would be very, very successful with.
Sweet.
That's my cousin right there.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
So
We'll introduce him.
Go ahead, Ibrahim. Sungoa. I think I got my African tongue. Sungoa.
Yeah, man.
But he's fitted 24, and I'm gonna let him speak about the new stuff that he have and where he came from, and all the way from Valdosta.
Ooh.
Yeah, went to college out there.
Shout it out. Let's bring him in.
Appreciate that.
Hey, tell us a little bit about yourself, my guy.
First off, that's love, man. I appreciate that coming from my cousin. You know what I'm saying? So appreciate the love, cuz I knew he felt like that about me. A lot of my cousins do. I'm always flattered. I never really necessarily wanted, a lot of the shine and the love that they give me. Well, I wanted them to love me, of course, but they hold me on a high pedestal.
It's pretty high.
I never thought that I deserved that, but it's always love. So I appreciate that. Appreciate you guys for having me on the show. My name is Ibrahim. Everybody call me IB, Ibrahim Sangawa. I'm actually from Sierra Leone, West Africa.
Woo! Shout it out.
Shout him out. Shout him out.
Sierra Leone, baby. Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone.
Cue cards up. Like, woo! Africa. That's it. Only me. Oh, okay. All right.
So I'm repping. We repping for the motherland. You know what I'm saying? And,
already.
Yeah, born over there, but raised here in Atlanta. I went to school in Valdosta, you know what I'm saying, but by way of the ATL for sure. So where should I start, man? Look, I'll go into my business. I've been doing entrepreneurship now for probably about 8 years. I started this health thing. It's now health, but it started as a point of vanity. All right, so let me tell you guys what I mean by that. So most people will tell their story, and they might say that, where I am today in the health and fitness industry, I really speak more on just general health and overall wellness. But that's not where the game started. So for me, it started with six-pack abs and muscles. You know what I'm saying? So I was that guy that wanted to have, the abs, wanted to be, the most muscular dude in the room. And honestly, it really was a compensation mechanism, because I've always been super skinny my whole life. So you can ask for it.
I got pictures.
He's like, I got receipts. I got receipts.
I mean, I'm not a big guy now, but just generally speaking, I was always likely the smallest guy in the room. So I went off to college, Valdosta State University, and I became a Kappa. You know what I'm saying? So shout out KSI, shout out my frat brothers.
Shout out to
Kappa.
Talk to him.
Fraternity
Shout
Incorporated.
out to the Kappas.
And really how it kind of began was we had a step show. So I crossed over and we had a step show. I was in the step show, and I'm in the show with all these guys that, you know what I'm saying, they got muscles. There's about 7 of us. They big, they got muscles. I'm like, ain't no way in hell I'm going on stage. I'm going on stage looking like this.
Hard as hell.
You know what I'm saying?
Got there biting that bottle lip.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, ain't no way in hell I'm going on stage looking like this with these, with these guys. So I kind of started taking the gym seriously. We had like 2 months to practice for the show. So I started lifting. I had a background in sports. I hooped. So I had that background, but I had never really lifted weights. So after about 30 days, man, I really just piped up. I was lit. You know what I'm saying? I gained probably about 15 to 20 pounds, and you couldn't tell me nothing. You know what I'm saying? So that really that's where my love for fitness came about. And so fast forward from there, I graduated Actually, before I graduated, I actually jumped into the exercise physiology program. So that's what I studied in school. So I'll come back to that later, but that's one of the things that differentiates me from a lot of the other fitness experts out there is that I actually went to school for this. So I have a degree in exercise physiology.
You got the LA Fitness certificate?
Yeah. So I'll get to that. So I got a degree in exercise physiology. So I studied the body. I studied the effects of exercise and nutrition on the body, and I went and got a degree for that. Before I graduated, again, I'm looking good, happy about where I am in my fitness, and I'm in my last year before I graduate, and we had to do clinicals. So we're doing clinicals, and one of the students in clinicals, we had to take each other's blood pressure. So one of the students, or actually not even one, most of the students would take my blood pressure, and they would kind of be confused. You know what I'm saying? So they would take it and be like, I don't think I'm doing this right. So it happened so often that one of the students called the teacher over. He was like, I'm taking IB's blood pressure, and it's kind of high, but IB plays ball. Look at him. Ain't no way he can have high blood pressure. So my professor came over there. He was like, okay, let me, test it and see if you're doing it right. So he tested it, and lo and behold, he told me, he said, IB, man, you might need to go get checked out because you have pre-hypertension. So this is at 20 years old. For most of you guys that don't know what pre-hypertension is, hypertension is high blood pressure. Right. So I was, when you're on the cusp of having high blood pressure, that's what they call pre-hypertension or pre-high blood pressure. So I was diagnosed with that at the age of 20, and that's where my love for, that's where it went a little bit deeper than fitness for me. You know what I mean? So my love for, I had a love for fitness, got diagnosed with pre-hypertension, and so I really then started learning the ins and outs about health and food and lifestyle and its effect on your health. All right, so I graduated from school and I started working at a hospital. So Southern Regional Hospital off Riverdale Road. I got an internship there, worked there for about a year and a half, and that added another aspect to my knowledge, seeing what it was like if you kept on the negative path of unhealthy lifestyle. So working at the hospital, I saw guys coming in there in their 30s, high blood pressure, having strokes, people in there that are obese, 200, 300 pounds. We literally, imagine a machine that is made to pick up people that are too heavy to walk. So think about that. We had a machine in the hospital. That's crazy. It's literally made for that. It wasn't an improvised, mechanism where it's like, okay, we just gonna use it for this. They created the machine for people that was too big to move themselves. You know what I'm saying? So I'm in that type of environment. Having to pick people up 400, 500 pounds just to get them from their bed to the table for them to do physical therapy and cardiac rehab. So that gave me a different type of understanding of what could really be on the other side of not taking care of yourself. So fast forward a little bit more, I'm at the hospital, but, I'm learning these things, but for some reason, I just don't feel accomplished, so to speak. I don't feel fulfilled. Mm-hmm. So in my mind, I'm thinking like, okay, I'm learning all these things, but I don't like the position that I'm in right now. I don't like where I'm at. I did not like my job, period. So in my mind, I'm thinking, how could I can't see myself doing this for the rest of my life. So, but people were pushing me away from the idea of doing fitness. They were like, man, you at the hospital. I don't know if you guys have families like that, but especially in the African community, if you ain't a lawyer or a doctor, you ain't doing nothing.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Listen, we all from
facts,
the same,
ladies and gentlemen.
For real. You dig what I'm saying? Like,
we come from that same background. If they wasn't feeling what we were doing, they were already trained to believe this is how you're gonna succeed with these few fields in the world.
Yeah,
right.
3.
Now I mean, that's why three fields.
Like,
I heard the doctor and lawyer line every day.
Yeah, right. At least.
Right.
And that was gonna be one of my questions. Like, at what point did you made fitness that decision?
Man, really, I was kind of pushed into. So I'm at the hospital. I'm having these thoughts in my head like, this is not what I want to do. But I got this passion for fitness though. So even at the hospital, I'm talking to people about fitness. But at the same time, I'm trying to make ends meet. So at this point, I got 2 other jobs. I think at this time I'm working 3 jobs. So I'm working at Best Buy sitting right there. I'm working at Best Buy. I'm working at the hospital. And then I finally decided to, okay, let me start training people. You know what I'm saying? Let me see what I got in the field of fitness and let me get some clients. So I'm working 3 jobs. I'm really killing myself, honestly. But in my mind, I knew that there was, it was a bigger picture to everything that I was doing, and I just wanted to keep pushing. So working 3 jobs and finally, I decided to give up on the hospital. I was like, okay, despite what my family thinks, I'm leaving the hospital and I started working at LA Fitness. I'm working at LA Fitness for about a year and I'm learning a lot of stuff. I'll give a few pointers to anybody doing health and fitness. A lot of people don't want to work up underneath somebody or a spot like LA Fitness. I can tell you now, working at LA Fitness was one of the best things, or just say a franchise gym. I don't know whichever one, but I personally work at LA Fitness. Working at it, if you are somebody that aspires to do health and fitness personal training, working under the guidance of or tutelage of some of the trainers and just being in the environment of a multi-million-dollar fitness industry, probably billion-dollar fitness industry like LA Fitness, it's needed. The year that I did there taught me a lot about entrepreneurship in general, and it helped me build a foundation of a big business. So one of the reasons why I ended up thriving was because I was able to see how a big business was structured and how they run. So that's why I run my business a certain way. So people see me and they just think like, oh, are you a personal trainer? Can I just sign up for a session? It's a whole sign-up process, bro. Yeah, I got you. You can't just come up to me and be like, hey, we just gonna start training tomorrow. You gotta go through a whole.
Yeah, I've seen it.
You know what I'm saying? It's a whole sign-up process. You know what I mean? And what you do when you do that is you make people respect you as such. If you want to be if you aspire to be a $1 billion industry or business, you gotta
present yourself that way.
You gotta present yourself like that. You know what I'm saying? So that was the biggest thing for me. I worked at LA Fitness, and from there, that's when I knew, like, for sure, this is what I'm gonna do.
That's what you had the passion for.
Yeah, I knew I had a passion doing it, and I want you guys to guess how much I was making at LA Fitness when I was working there.
Commission and like a few bucks. It gotta be. I'm saying a few bucks, like literally. I mean, it may have been whatever, $10 an hour or something like that. Was it?
So really close. So $6 a session.
A session?
$6
a session.
A session
of training.
Of training.
Holy crap!
$6 a session. So that's how much. That's how I knew I was passionate about that. Name a job that any one of y'all will work for $6 for anything.
Not
to do
porn.
anything.
I'm out.
Right.
I do porn for $6.
No, you won't. Your first shot's a BBW. You messed up. This shit ain't worth $6.
How about BBWs? Oh man, that is dedication though. $6 a session. It's not even an hour. That's a session.
$6 a session.
A session can range how long?
So a session. Okay, so let's say $12 an hour. Put it that way.
Yeah.
Because sessions are
30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Yeah, 30 minutes.
So let's say I get 2, but the problem is with sessions is no. So where you working a 9 to 5 or whatever, where it's $12 per hour and you working a certain amount of hours, if you ain't got the clients,
you're not
working. So it's not like I'm making $6 for being or $12 for being there. I gotta train somebody for 30 minutes to $6, and then doing 2 sessions equals my $12.
Yo, so I gotta ask you a question with that, right? So as you're talking about fitness and health, and with everything that you had known up until that point, right? So how were you also maintaining your own fitness and health? Because financially, that also contributes into your fitness, I'm sure, right? Like you gotta make sure you got the supplements or whatever. How were you doing that at the same time and making sure that you're, up to par?
That's a good question, man, and that can lead into a lot of different things as well. But really, so even when I teach people about taking care of themselves, you invest in what you care about. So honestly, I can't tell you where the money was coming from because I won't having it at the time. But whatever little money I had, best believe I was investing in that. So obviously I had to pay for my rent and things like that. But outside of rent, I was buying my supplements. I was buying my food. I was investing in my health. That's where most of my money was going to. So that's just that's really that's how you stay on code for anything. Really, is whatever it is that you really feel that you you need, or whatever you put value in. That's what you're gonna invest in.
Factory.
What I'm saying. So that's really how it went for me. So I'm making $6, but again that's what told me. That's what helped me know that this is where my passion lied, because within making that $6, I'm not ashamed to say that you could easily tell I was the best trainer in there. You know what I'm saying? Like anybody that walked in LA Fitness, they knew who I was, because they didn't know that, bro, that I was making $6. The way that I trained and the way that I moved,
you would never guess that.
You would never guess that I was only making $6. And with everybody else, you could tell. Yeah. You could tell that everybody else was making $6.
I got a sponsor. I go in there now like, nah, you ain't ready for me.
Right,
you ain't ready for me.
Yeah, you could tell everybody else in there is making $6, but I didn't move like that.
So I have a question then. How did you get into bodybuilding then?
Oh man, that's a whole nother. Really just, I'll just say I tell people, start where you are. So using that same sentence, where I was at the time, that's what I needed. Okay. So I used to go to I'm going to the gym every day, normal routine, and at this time bodybuilding is picking up. Bodybuilding was real popular back in the day, but it kind of fell off. But with social media coming back around, the sport of bodybuilding had picked up a little bit, because you can visually see the shows and people, doing
and people know so much more now too than they did back in the day.
Back
in the day, it was just bulk and muscle. Right, but not much nutrition. Where that's changed nowadays.
Right. And then even speaking on that part, they created another division. Yeah. So back in the day, they only had the one division of the big bodybuilders, where it's like nobody really can get like that, except for those guys that doing what they do. We ain't gonna go too much in that.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And no knock on it, because it's a part. Right. It's a big part of it. It's a part of it. It's a part of the sport.
It's big time. That's their own little culture.
Right. That's exactly. It's the culture of the sport.
Right.
No knock on it. But that's what them guys do. Hell, they have a documentary that was out where, to put it into context of it being in the culture, they asked a group of bodybuilders, if you could win the Olympia, which is the Super Bowl of bodybuilding, if you could win that one time, right? One time in your lifespan, but you had to take the maximum amount of supplements or steroids or whatever to reach that goal to the detriment of your health, and you would pass away within 5 years of winning the Olympia. I believe like 80% said that they would still do it.
Yeah,
100%.
Just to get there.
Fly, we need a, okay, yeah, good.
Yeah. So for me, where I was at the time, I knew nothing about the sport for real, but people would see me, and with the new division, which is men's physique, it was where it's a more attainable look. So more the beach body look, muscle, very lean. Not super big in size, but, just a more aesthetic look. So at the gym, people will come up to me and be like, man, you ever thought about doing that new division? And I'm like, nah, I ain't really looked into it. But then there was one guy named Manny. He was like, man, just come meet my coach. You know what I'm saying? Come meet the guy named Wendell Floyd. Come meet him and talk to him, and, just see where y'all go with it. So I went and talked to him, and he was just, for me, again, it had nothing to do with the sport of bodybuilding. He was just a real thorough dude, you know what I'm saying, like real cool guy. So he asked me, he said, what is it that you want to accomplish, in this sport? If you did it right now, what are you trying to accomplish? And I just told him straight up, I want to win. You know what I'm saying? I want to win, and I want to be the best. And it's easy for anybody to say that. Like, you want to win and you want to be the best. But my thing was, I'm not going to take steroids. Right. So he laughed. He was like, so you telling me you 160 pounds soaking wet, you're not going to take steroids, but you're going to be the best in bodybuilding. He was like, son, that ain't happening. So just like we talked earlier on about being brutally honest with somebody, how you kind of close the sale and win their respect. Right. That's what he did for me, because anybody else could have been like, yeah, you know what I'm saying, let's do that. I'm going to help you do that. You know what I'm saying, just to get a check. But he just told me straight up, this is what it's really looking like for you. You can win, but if you ain't going to jump on the Jamba Juice, You know what I'm saying? Like being the best, you got to kind of put being the best on the back burner. But it can help you a lot in your business. It can help you a lot with building the body. I had never been able to put on a lot of weight. Right. So he was like, what I can help you do is I can help you gain weight, put some muscle on. He helped me gain 20 pounds. I went from 160 to 180, 20 pounds muscle. And for me, it was a way to put myself in a situation to relate to my clients. That was the biggest thing for me because, again, most of the people that I deal with are overweight. Right. So what they do a lot of times, they look at me and be like, you don't really know my struggle, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you know about, you know what I'm saying, struggling with food? You got this high metabolism. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like,
this man sneeze and lose like 2 pounds.
right. You know what I'm saying? You blessed. You know, so for me, it was a way to put myself like, you know, for me, it's not about me already being lean, but what I have to do to attain the body that I have and the health that I have, that's more so what you got to try to relate to. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, you building better and healthier habits is what I do that you don't. You know what I'm saying? So it don't got nothing to do with me not ever being overweight. If you did what I did, you wouldn't be overweight either. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
You know what I'm saying? So for me, that was the way to get them to just relate to me. Like, okay, I'm gonna put myself in the fire and I'm gonna do something that's uncomfortable for me in terms of bodybuilding and having to diet down and do all of these things. And that's really just how that came about.
So what were some of the hardest things you had to go through? Like, so younger, you were diagnosed with hypertension, and you made the decision like, all right, now I want to be healthy, I want to be fit. Like, what were some of the challenges you had to go through to get to that? Because it takes a different type of discipline to stick to a diet and stick to the training and stick to whatever it is you got to do to get to your goals. At the time, I imagine you eating what you want to eat, drinking what you want to eat. You're not paying mind to nutrition, the proteins, and things like that. Like, what were some of those challenges you had to go through?
Just kind of filtering away from that's a good question, bro. Really, one of the hardest things was being healthy or being different and doing things different is a lonely place. And what that means is, I mean, you guys can attest to this maybe in areas where, you know, you differ in opinion or you differ in value or you differ in, you know, your actions from, you know, the masses. It can be a lonely place at times because, I mean, even right now, again, no knock as we continue going, you guys get a really good idea on my approach to health and fitness, but so I don't really knock much. But even now, I'm drinking water, you know, compared to, you know, what everybody else is doing.
See, you
get what I'm saying? Right. So
compared to you lushes in here.
Right, you know. So it's no knock on what anybody else is doing, but it takes a different type of discipline or fortitude or mental fortitude to be able to be like, you know, I'm not going to drink today. Right. I drink. Don't get it twisted. So I'm going to look in the camera and say, I'm not saying to anybody not to drink or not to live, you know what I'm saying, or not to have vices, but because we all do. But I would love to drink, but there are certain things values that I have, or there might be another time that I want to drink where I just think today, you know, I'd rather not do it today.
Whatever's worth
more.
Right.
So it's right. You know, so it takes discipline to be the odd man out and be like, I'm gonna drink on water, I sip on water, while everybody else is drinking.
I mean, it's good water.
Good vodka.
Yeah, it's good water. It's vodka water. It's vodka water. You know what? I think what you just said, it kind of hits me too a lot because I think human beings are creatures of habit. Right. I can speak for myself. I'm if I do something for a week, it's a habit automatically for me, right? Mm-hmm. So I'll give you an example with something that you were saying earlier that made me think. At my biggest, I was 220. My nephew can attest to this. Like,
I can attest to that.
You can. Was that? Yeah, I was. Yeah. I was 220. No. Yeah. Factory. My biggest 220. And I tell you, this was even before we met. Even when we met, I was still probably at that time like 200. Yeah. Man, we went to Haiti. It was me and my nephew. You're recording. You probably don't even know this happened. He's recording me. We're at like this river. Everyone is bathing. All I see is this big motherfucker walking across the thing, right? And I remember looking at the video. I'm like, who is that? And I was like, that is me. Oh Yo, I was like flabbergasted. I looked at that video and I was like, yo, that is me. Delete.
My bad.
Deleted it. It still didn't matter though at the time. I mean, I was like, oh man, look at me. I look crazy. Yo, man, let me get some rice and whatever else. Like it never clicked, right? It wasn't until kind of later on, until I was like examining like what I was doing that had me there. Right. I was like, damn, I'm 220. I'm slow. You know what I mean? I'm not vibrant. You know what I mean? I don't really have energy. Right. You know what I mean? Even though I was maybe a little active, but it just wasn't the move. Like I didn't feel right. Right. Until I was just like, you know what? I'm not eating any. I went vegan totally. I was like, I'm not eating any meat for 3 months. No meat. Right. No sugars, no sodas, and then I was like, I cut fast food right there. Right. That's hard to do on a daily basis because you're ripping and running. Right. So that means you gotta necessarily say to yourself, I'm going to be hungry. Right. And be okay with that. Right. You know what I mean? Or you find something healthy as an alternative, which a lot of the times is super hard. Right. And then I was like, all right. It's working a little bit. I dropped maybe 10 pounds. I was like, but my workout schedule, I was only working out like on a Friday, if that. Right. I was like, nah. If I'm gonna drink if I know I'm gonna drink on the weekend, because I never drink during like the week, but on the weekend, I have to earn it. Right. So I gotta go to the gym 5 days a week, starting Monday. Right. I was sweating like a motherfucker. I was so tired. I was on that treadmill about to pass out. Like, yo, God, please, I just want to be able to have some rum later. Like, I gotta earn it. I gotta earn it. But then a month or two later, and my nephew can attest to this. It was like 1 week this week, the next couple of weeks, like boom, the weight just dropped off. Right. So I was like, okay, I gotta just stick with this. Right. And now again, this is what I was talking about. Human beings are a creature of habit. Once I stuck to the schedule of working out consistently, every day, making sure, leaving work, going straight to the gym, not wasting any time, not stopping anywhere before Fridays, going before I go to work, and then afterwards, and now it's just my habit. I cannot not do it. If I don't do it, then it becomes an issue. So do you think that when it comes down to like health and fitness, that a lot of it, it's not because, it's more about the adjustment to the adjustment to the habit, because I know it's, first of all, for everybody listening, no one said that this is easy because everyone works. Right. You work, everyone is up dumb early in the morning, there's kids involved, you're ripping and running, you're stuck in traffic, then you gotta be to work all day long, and then you have to eat. So you're just grabbing whatever's around you normally. That's just what it is. Make it quick. I'm from Brooklyn. Like, all we ate was Chinese food and pizza. Flock, am I lying?
Nah, facts.
It's all you would eat.
The chicken spot was open 24/7.
I'm telling you, all the time. And then it became like a thing where you have to literally. So do you believe, IB, that it's more like, all right, they say everything becomes a habit after 3 weeks. If you can give yourself a steady 3 weeks, then it will become habitual. Do you believe that? And do you think that adds into what will help someone from getting from point A to point B? And then I'm gonna add one question I want to add to that for you is, what do you think the first step would be for somebody that's trying to get to that point? If you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to make the gym a steady thing. So that's two questions. Like, do you think it's a habit thing? And then what do you also think might be the first step to get somebody there who's thinking about it?
Right. Good. Both of those are really good questions. And hopefully the way I answer this, again, will separate me from, the industry, which needs to do better. But I have a different approach. I have a different style when it comes to the understanding of health, fitness, and wellness. So the first thing is, yes, it is about habit change. But you are one of the few, again, I don't know. Now, let me ask you this before I even continue. The aggressiveness that you went into it whenever you first started, do you have that same aggressiveness?
Till this day?
Yeah,
Same exact thing. Go to the gym 5-6 times a week, don't eat any fast food, no Chinese food.
I'm in the gym.
I'm at the gym. I can't. If I start something, again, like if I that's this it's just me. Like if I'm gonna drink.
Okay.
And I like to be lit and have a
Right,
good
right.
time, right?
Right.
I have to earn it.
Right.
That's how I have it in my mind. I'm like, I don't drink anything during the weeks, only on the weekends.
Right.
So I'm like, if I'm gonna earn to have a couple of drinks and hang out with my boys, I gotta kind of earn it.
Right.
I can't. And plus, my wife was looking at me like I was crazy because
Right.
it was mad. I was like nuts. You know what I mean? It was no booty in the crib. Can't
Right.
really do that. It was a problem for me. I was like, yo. My subscription to Pornhub's almost over. This is ridiculous. Like, I can't keep renewing this because it's between this and my car insurance. Like, my wife was like, this is a problem. I'm like, just all jokes aside. All jokes aside. Like,
No, we got jokes.
all jokes aside. But it was really that. Like, I stuck to it, but the aggressiveness was because I was like, I want to get to a point.
Right.
And also, I went to the doctor, and he was like, naturally, because of my height, I'm only 5'10".
Right.
He was like, this is where you need to be.
Right.
And you're not anywhere close to that.
Right.
So your life changes. Like all my levels are off, my numbers are off, and it scared me.
Right,
You know
right,
what I mean? So it was like, man, I have to do something now, and it has to be aggressive.
Right.
And
right.
that was probably the hardest part, because it was like, I'm Haitian, right? Mm-hmm. Our diet consists of plantains, rice, heavy oil.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't that right, Flock?
Yeah, facts.
All of our diets were African, Haitians,
Right, right.
Dominicans.
Same,
All our
yeah,
diets,
same.
it
We all eat
is
the
the worst
same
diet.
Yeah.
It is not a healthy diet, but it tastes great as a motherfucker. That's
Right,
the whole
right,
thing.
right.
It's so good.
Right.
But it's super so I had to literally say, I'm cutting out rice.
Right.
That was the hardest thing. Could never go to my nephew's house because they always got rice at his house.
Right.
And it was like, damn, what do I do? Like, I'm going over there and your family's like, yo, you're going to eat? Like, yeah, of course. They didn't bring you the plate. Like, yo, I don't eat no rice. They're like, I guess you're not in the family no more.
Right.
That's not what we do here.
So, you know what I mean? So, with that being said, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
How old are you right now?
I'm about to be 38.
About to be 38. So,
Yeah.
doing the same exact thing that you're doing now, if your health, if this was the only thing, like exactly what you're doing right now, if this is the only thing that you could do to keep your health, stay in good health, do you think you could sustain that to 78 years old?
1,000%.
You really, you
100%.
honestly think you could?
I've been doing it for almost 10 years now.
Right.
And just speaking for myself, I'm a hard creature of habit. So
Right.
it's hard for me to break certain things.
Right.
Like, so if I'm used to it,
Right.
going to the gym. My brother's also a big inspiration for me. Like, my brother, which is his pops, right?
Right.
But also my other brother. My brother, Max, he came up in that, we were talking about the era of like bodybuilders.
Right.
He was just meat, potatoes, bodybuilding. That's all he cared about.
Right.
Because it was almost the same story.
Right.
He came in, he was mad thin, and he was like, man, I got to bulk up, because I had my cousin who was like, he was like 6 foot something, just like he was a gorgeous guy, but he was like built.
Right.
Women loved him.
Right.
My other brother was not that way. So he was like, I gotta lift mad weights or I'm selling drugs. He was like, one or the other.
Right.
I'm going to jail or I'm lifting weights. My
Right.
mom was like, I guess you're lifting weights. He's like, I guess I'm lifting weights. But he just was like meat, potatoes, just whatever, bulked up. And he stayed, and I watched him do this consistently.
Right.
Till this day. I don't even know how old my brother is at this point in life. He's probably in his late 40s and his early 50s at this point.
Right.
He still goes to the gym consistently
Right.
and works out.
Right.
My other brother, Kaf, he's not so much, he was never the gym guy, but he's
Right.
athletics. So he plays soccer every Sunday.
Right.
All the time. That's all he thinks about. Like, no matter what happens, rain or shine, we could be out until 5 o'clock in the morning. Soccer is at 8 o'clock? He is on the court. Doesn't
Right.
matter what happens. So that kind of discipline I learned from.
Right.
And so again, it goes back to the habitual thing. Like, I have that same kind of discipline with stuff. Like, once I'm doing it, I'm doing it.
Right.
It doesn't matter. So when I'm 70, I'll still go to the gym as much as I possibly can, unless God forbid, there's some reason I can't.
Right. So that's slightly different from you're gonna do as much as you can.
Yeah.
So I asked that question because few and far in between do you find people, for the most part, that the aggressiveness that the world has portrayed that it takes to be healthy is what's unhealthy.
Facts.
So what I mean by that is the reason why people are afraid to try to lead a healthy lifestyle and try to pick up on healthy habits is because most of us go from 0 to 1,000.
Yeah.
There is no in between.
Absolutely, there's no gradual rise. I agree.
Right.
I agree.
So doing that, usually, like I said, you are, one of the many few that I talked to. But even in the end of your statement, it ended up being you will go as much as you can. My thing was more absolute. And what I mean by that is a lot. So let me give you an example. This is what most people's transition to a healthy lifestyle looks like. Mm-hmm. They drink alcohol every night. They don't drink any water. They don't go to the gym at all. They eat whatever they want, whenever they want, all day, every day. And then something happens, something changes in their mind, or they see a commercial, New Year's resolution, doctor, whatever, and they go from this over here to no water to a gallon of water a day, writing, sip, drink, turn up on the gallon,
absolutely.
Carrying it with them, you know what I'm saying? Right. Fast food every day to I'm not eating nothing. Mm-hmm. I'm just eating broccoli and chicken.
Yeah,
salads.
Starving
Right,
yourself.
you know what I'm saying? Not working out at all. Ain't never walked nowhere in your life to running 3 miles. You get what I'm saying? Like going to the gym 7 out of 7 days. Right. I'm not saying, obviously, that that is good in terms of like the effort to want to change. But 10 times out of 10, or 9.5, because you'd have 9.5 out of 10, in 6 months, 1 year, or 10 years, they not keeping that up. Yeah. And if you can't keep that up, what you've done over that 10 year, or that 6 months, 1 year, or 10-year span, is you've built up a misconception of what health really looks like. And then the next 10 years of your life, now you go right back to being unhealthy. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because health for you was a whole, it was way over there. So you have no sense of true health. Up with. Right. All you have is unhealthy and like this unhealthy sense of health, which is just this extreme. Mm-hmm. So I tell people now, to the next question, what do people need to do is the habits is it. Create new habits, but you start where you are. So here's an example. Mm-hmm. Look at how much change you can get in this right here. The person that drinks no water, and they drink this a couple times a day, right? But they drink no water at all. Instead of going and saying, I'm going to drink a gallon of water starting tomorrow, start by just drinking the cup. Mm-hmm. Like, bro, replace one of these with some water. That's it. If you change nothing else, and you just change this, let me tell you what this one change does. This has 280 calories in this bottle, right? You take this out, 1 per day, 280 times 7. What's that? Pull out a calculator real quick.
280 times 7.
280 times 7. I ain't good with math. That's why I do bodies. I don't know math at all. I just know bodies.
It's like 17 something.
Right.
I'm pretty good with adding real quick. Let me see if I'm right.
280 times 7. 1960.
I was close enough.
Right?
He was in the ballpark.
I was close enough. I'm going to try to do that math. I ain't got it. I ain't good at math.
I was not about to guess that.
Right.
1,960.
So all you did, you kept the alcohol, everything, all things created equal. You didn't even get off the couch. All you did was you stayed on the same couch doing the same thing, and you just said, you know what? Instead of drinking one of these for dinner, I'm just going to drink water. Some water. And that's it, right? Mm-hmm. So you had
1960.
Multiply that by 4. You do that every day. 1 cup of water and replace it this.
7,840.
7,840. Divide that by 3,200. Oh, excuse me, sorry, 3,500. So 280
divided by
7.
3,500. What is it, 3,500?
Times 4. Divide that by 3,500.
I love this. This is amazing.
2.24.
So it takes 3,500 calories to lose one pound of fat. 3,500 calories. So just by sitting in your thing, watching TV, drinking your hand, same like you do every day, eating your food, all you did was you said, I'm going to make one swap. And you just lost 2.24. You just possibly lost 2.24 pounds in 1 month. Multiply that by 12.
24.
26.
You just possibly lost 26.8 pounds in 1 year. And all you did was this. You to swap this for 1 cup of water. That small change. Now,
Sonik Gemz.
Bars.
ladies and
Now
gentlemen.
listen.
Sonic Gems.
Facts.
Now, what that does is most people be like, nah, that don't really work like that. Listen, that's what you think. It's because you living in the now.
That's the mind state,
Yeah,
yeah.
the mind state is you got to do so much, and you so worried about doing so much, you don't even think it's possible to just make that one change and get that much of a result. So now what happens is it ain't that hard to just swap 1 Coke for water per day. But guess what that does for your longevity and habitually? Now you've created a habit. It's easy to create a habit of 1 cup of water a day.
100%.
I agree. Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? That was easy.
Yeah.
That was simple. Now guess what? And you did that for a year. Now guess what? Another year does. You know what? Let me add another cup of water, or let me add 3 cups of water. Now another year of doing that, you created another habit. Now what happens is, you know what I'm saying? Over time, you doing that for 3 years, 4 years. You can easily sustain that for the rest of your life. That one change, and that one change residually becomes another change, which then residually becomes another change, and you still ain't gave up the hand yet. You still ain't gave up the hand.
Yeah. No, I didn't mean to cut you. I just wanted to touch on something that you were speaking. I think it kind of ties in as we're, kind of coming to a close as well. Like, I mean, as far as, food, right? We've heard the term comfort food, right? So it kind of ties in with emotional state for a lot of people, you know what I mean? So it's like, let's say you went through a breakup or you went through whatever, right?
Something traumatic.
And
Something traumatic.
These are things that a lot of times are like, let's say like for me, I'm like, I just been lucky, like genetically, I don't know, like I never really was like in the gym heavy, but I can bounce back if I need to, right? So I would like binge on that kind of stuff, but then easily fall off the train and they come. So it's like, what would you say? I mean, of course it's going to look different for everybody, but will you say like maybe even for yourself as like you were making that transition, or for people that you maybe have trained and seen like maybe like certain factors that are kind of like consistent across the board, where it's like this is kind of like a great strategy to approach, overcoming those kind of obstacles, you know what I mean?
Well, first of all, you have to admit that there is an issue. So what that looks like is accountability, and that transitions in every aspect. If you don't tell yourself that
You stopping, right?
accountability.
Yeah.
So I was going into accountability. That's the first step, because if you are not holding yourself accountable, then you cannot change. You know what I'm saying? You cannot move forward if you don't take responsibility for what's going on. So a lot of times people, they blame it on this and they blame it on that. And the factors, these are real factors, so it's truth behind it. It's not saying that these factors don't exist. You said it. Kids, family.
Absolutely.
This is going on.
Yeah.
Time,
daily
work,
stuff. Yeah. Right, exactly.
But those are not going anywhere. Your kids are your kids. And
Right.
even when they get older, they still your kids. So when they need your help, you still got to be there for them. I mean, they've created breathing room because they're not in your house.
Right.
But, you still got, you have to take them into consideration, period.
Yeah,
So,
every time.
but the beauty of, and accountability is scary for people, because when you have accountability, you know that it's on you. But here's the beauty, here's the other end of accountability that's beautiful. You have control. So now there should be no guilt. There should be no guilt about this. You know why? Because it's your choice.
Right.
When you are accountable, when I drink this vodka, I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna put it out there. If I decide to drink this, there's nothing that makes me feel bad about it. You know why? Because my accountability helps me understand that, I drank it because I wanted to. You know what I'm saying? Whatever effects come from it, I'm holding myself accountable for it. If I drink this and I haven't drunk in 2 months and I throw up the next morning, I don't feel guilty about it. It's not like, why did I do that? This shit sucks. I should never. It's just like, you know that that's a possibility.
You already know.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So now you just get back to, here's where healthy habits have to come in.
Right.
You got to get back to something healthy. You got to get back to a standard of life that is health promoting. And if you don't have that standard, guess what? You have nothing to go back to. So it's either 0 or 1,000. There is no general sense of well-being for you to be like, okay, I can get away from this and be okay with it. It's either I'm suffering from not being able to do it. What do I do? Damn, I can't drink today. You know what I'm saying? There's no outlet. You know what I'm saying? There's no there's a reason why we drink this. We get something from it, whether it be camaraderie, communion with our brethren. You know what I'm saying? There's something you get from it. So one of the things that one of the first phases in my program is called food psychology and relationship. All right. So most people don't understand. We all have a relationship with food. We all have a psychology with food. Yeah. It's actually messed up to a certain extent that you said, and it's not you. It's just the general statement. It's how we think. Finding healthy alternatives. Why should the alternatives be healthy?
It should just be the norm.
The standard.
Right.
Why are we finding healthy alternatives?
Factory, I agree.
Why is health not the standard?
I agree.
So when I'm talking to y'all, you see how I'm different. My whole even how I tap into people's brains is different. We're already losing by making health and healthy foods the alternative. When it should be the standard.
It should be the standard.
Sonic Gemz.
Sonic Gemz.
Right, you get what I'm saying? So it's things like that when people come into this, the reason why they can't build sustainable habits is because until we are doing that, y'all want to pause for a second? Yeah. Yo. But until people are doing that, it's gonna be hard to build sustainable habits. So you got to kind of reroute your brain and reroute the way that you think in order to really create habits change. And for you, the reason why it was sustainable for you, it still comes back to the thought process. So it still had nothing to do with the actions that you were doing. It was more so, again, how you felt, how you are wired. You are wired to go hard in the paint. Yeah. So that's why you are the 1% of people that succeed, because hard in the paint is how you go. So hard for you, 0 to 100 is natural. That's a natural thing.
It has to be. I agree.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
And I never thought about it that way either.
You know,
like it was a thing. I thought that was just how it was supposed to be. I thought it was supposed to be cold turkey. Right. I never knew anything outside of that. Like the gradual thing happens so often, but if like I do something, if I'm gonna I always go through binges of not doing. Like I may not drink. I'll be like, I'm not drinking, and I won't drink anything that has anything alcoholic. It could be wine.
Right.
I'd be like, nah, I'm good.
Right.
I'm chilling until I have these crazy timestamps in my mind for things. Right. So I'm always just like, all right, I'm not gonna do this for 6 months.
Right.
But the 61st day, I'm on it. You know what I mean? Right. But it's always that I give myself those timestamps because I'm always like, I have to be dedicated for this time.
Right. Yeah, that's not me.
Yeah,
that's totally.
I think you could do that for
me. We all got that in us.
Right. We all have that. No, we have it in you, but I'm just not it.
Right. No, I think you could do it. But what happens though? Do you think that it's because if you're like, all right, for 4 days, if you're like, all right, well, I'm not gonna whatever it is, I'm not gonna eat salmon for 6 months.
Right, so something like that.
Right. If it was like I'm not doing it.
Right.
But whatever, you don't really have any hard vices though.
No, I really don't. But me is because I actually listened to him for a long time. It took me a minute. You probably know. He was like, yo, you need to do this. I was like, yo, you cute. Get the fuck out. I ain't doing that shit. But it really kicked on maybe like 2 years ago. And I actually started listening to him, and I started substituting the stuff that I needed to, because he would never, because everybody talk about, yo, you can't do this, you can't do that. I'm like, bro, you're not going to tell me I'm a grown man. I'm going to do what I want to do.
That's a problem.
So, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
They can't. Think about that word.
They can't.
What man in here likes any, it's all men in here right now, but any human.
Yeah, tell me what I can't do.
Them kids right there. Yeah. When you say can't, what's the first thing they want to do?
They do it.
Right. No human is wired to not want to do something that somebody has told them that they shouldn't or they can't. Right. That's human nature. So that's why you got to tap into this.
It's funny. I tell my son that all the time, like, can't doesn't exist. We don't know what can't is.
Right.
You got to build that into them early. Otherwise, other type of influences might just overcome that.
Exactly.
And then I've always been with my fault. I didn't mean to cut you off. I've always been one I've been slim pretty much my whole life. I was a kid and I was chubby. Right. But I've always I would use health equals weight. Right. So the bigger you are, the unhealthier you are, but that's far from the truth. Right. Because as slim as you are, I can tell you I'm far from in shape. Right. I can probably run 2 miles, but after that, nigga, right. I'll meet you there. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it takes a different mind state to understand that process. Right. So I'm still trying to get to that point.
Right. Well, me,
Now,
go ahead.
No.
I mean, good job. But me, I do know, like, right now, I just finding healthy substitutes that I can do. So instead of just making, like we went to the farmer's market the other day, right? He was like, yo, I'm not trying to take nothing away from you. This is what you do because you know how to cook, you know how to do everything. But it might be just another way you can get that same energy or the same product you got, but just a little bit healthier. So what we up to? Syrup for what's the thing?
Agave.
Yeah, agave.
So little stuff like that.
Right. But
Swapping syrup for agave.
Right. So if I would put that in front of you, I cook my pancake and I put that on there, you couldn't tell me the difference.
Yeah, 1,000%.
You couldn't tell me the difference. So with me, that helped me out. Like, cause I like to eat. I like how flavored. That's why I don't know. I might be looking to that's another question I ask you later on about the going plant-based.
Right,
yeah,
right.
because it's a big documentary on Netflix. I watched it last night. It's pretty good.
What's the health?
Huh?
What's the health?
I done watched all them guys, man.
What the
Yeah.
health?
What the hell?
No, with the plant-based.
Is it what the health? Because that's when what the health is what he was talking about.
No, I think
just veganism and like.
Right.
Well, no, it's just talking about adding more plant-based. He said
It's called plant-based, right?
called
Oh,
plant-based.
yeah. I've seen it. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
about like how the misconception of if you wanted to get bigger or get bulk, you eat meat and stuff like that. And it wasn't. You can get the same kind of proteins you wanted without eating beef. And they said it's more healthy. Not the amino acid that's in the protein, but it was other enzymes that you can add. Oh, you guys took right. You cut out of the way. So it's like adding you can get better protein through eating more plant-based items that they have.
It's some truth. It's some truth to that.
It's some truth to that. So like for me, when I took it me and my wife watched it, and the first thing she said was, "Yo, we're gonna go vegan." I said, well, "Stop it right now. That's not how. I'm not wired like that."
Why is it that? Because like words like that scare people.
Yeah.
Right. So it's 100%. Like me, I'm a meat
just
eater.
completely changes
Right.
their perspective. Like, nah, I ain't doing that shit, or I ain't eating this and eating that. Like, it just completely changes their
Okay, you got it.
perspective. Their perspective on what in going that route.
Right. So like, but my question was like, I know some people when they watch stuff, they go hard. Like, oh, this is perfect. I want to live some 95. I'm switching up my diet. I'll be eating plant-based protein and this and that stuff. I know I can't do that, so I wasn't even testing myself. But what truth do you have when you watch these documentaries and you sit there? You went to actually school for this, so you know some of the stuff that they're doing is misleading. Some of the stuff that they're doing. But what do you have for people that want to change up their life and they want to change up their diet, but they just think they're going vegan? Because I just can't go vegan. I just know I probably can't now, but I can lean off.
I mean,
of
you
some
can probably
stuff.
build till you get to that point.
Get close enough
Right.
to it, but it's just something about a good steak. Like it's just
Right.
something
I feel
about a
you.
good steak. Yeah.
But I understand exactly
I
what
mean,
you're saying. Yeah.
Here's the thing again. There are a lot of truths. Put it this way. There are a lot of theories out there, and you can take anything and you can look it up. I mean, you can take, literally any food and look it up, and there are going to be articles with experts that say this is the healthiest food in the world and it will cure your cancer. And then in the same Google search, you scroll down a little bit and you'll find another documentary or study
Right.
that contradicts everything. And they both doctors. They both doctors or endocrinologists or cancer doctors. But they have completely conflicting sentiments about this one food.
Right.
So ultimately, that's why I say, you on your journey, we all know. One, you want to learn. So what you're doing now in being proactive and learning is key. First of all, So you always be learning. That's what I say. Entrepreneurship, whatever in life, always be learning. Mm-hmm. But what you have to do is you have to trust also what you already know.
Right.
So again, us four guys in here. If I bring a pizza in here, and if I bring a fruit salad in here,
Pizza gonna be going first.
so it's two things. It's two observations that we're gonna make from this.
All right.
If I ask everybody in here, and I bring 10 more people in here that don't know the conversation that we have, and just on the spot say, which one is healthier? Which one do you think promotes health more?
Right.
Oh, that fruit salad.
Fruit salad,
We're going
yeah.
10 for 10. We're going
Right.
100%.
Right.
Exactly.
But like bruh said, what's gonna be gone first?
Pizza.
it's almost 100% that the pizza gonna be gone first. So you gotta trust what you know. We know we're searching and we're looking and we're listening, but a lot of what we know is common sense, and we already know what's best for us.
Right.
So again, it's something psychologically that is making us not care and make decisions consistently that are not health promoting. So again, until you kind of dive into yourself and get to those things mentally that are just to the point to where you can't make these shifts in decision making, then again, it doesn't matter what is put in front of you.
Right.
Like we just said, you're gonna continue to make
Well,
the wrong
is
decisions.
there something necessary?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I mean, I just wanted to ask, right?
Nah, no, right.
I just wanted to ask. I mean, so like, because for me, I'm a learner. Like, I like to, if it makes sense to me, it's not because somebody else told me or trying to force you, you know, because that's just gonna push you away further, like you said, you know.
Right.
But if you're like, let's say like even people that come to you for training, right? You know, you're looking at like different body types, different cultures, you know, there's so many different factors. And I think we can all agree there are certain foods that are just healthy across the board. Certain foods that aren't. But even when it comes down to things like I was researching on something about like, you know, with your blood type, you know what I mean? There are certain foods that are like actually better for certain individuals, right? So like, let's say, even being diabetic, right? You can't not have carbs. You know what I mean? Because you're going to need that sugar or how it breaks down into sugar, you know what I mean, for you to be able to. Anyway, some people, depending on your situation, you may be able to say, I'm going to cut out carbs completely, right? But, you know, like, I guess with the pros and cons of all of these type of lifestyles, is there, like, what would you say, like, as far as, like, is there a, like, even for your clients, let's say, do you kind of sit down with them individually and draw out a plan based on those things? Or is it just kind of like, staple, here's a food pyramid, this is, you know what I mean, we're going to go boom, 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 and these are kind of like the results you can just expect off of that. You know what I mean? How specific, I guess, do we, you know?
I get really specific. But again, first, that's phase 2. So I got phases, I got modules. I'm talking about real. So phase 1.
First of all, the food period is horrible.
Right.
Food period is just
The way it's set up,
it's terrible.
It's not for us.
Right.
It's not for us.
Did you know pizza is a vegetable?
Not for me.
That's what.
Say what?
Pizza is a vegetable.
Who told you that?
Food.
Who told you that?
It's a vegetable too, bro. All right.
Nah, for real. Like according to the food
But
pyramid, like the updated one.
and this is like I had a question on your opinion as these fast food chains that have these healthier food styles now. Like Burger King now has the plant burger that's supposed to taste.
Yeah, that
exactly
veggie
like
burger
the
is pretty good.
Right,
though.
and McDonald's that has the
tried
fish
it.
fillet. Personally,
It's
I don't
good.
believe none of it.
Right.
What do you feel about it?
Oh my gosh.
So before I get too thrown off, I'm gonna come back to that question. Bruh asked me about how specific do I get. So the next phase after tapping into somebody's mental understanding of their habits and why they make certain decisions. So before I even shift into that, one tool that I use in that is habit mapping. It's something called habit mapping. So again, despite we know what we know, we trust your own intuition. You know water is better than that. Despite all of the so they have vitamin water, this water, that water, infused,
Spoken
as
water,
long
all that
as spring water, that water. Yes, when you go deeper
Right.
into the knowledge, you understand that some waters are better than others.
Right.
But out of these two, water. Most
Yeah.
waters
Water
are gonna
overall.
Water,
hit,
yeah.
right. You know what I'm saying? So, despite all of that knowledge that you have to get, the habit mapping, you have to tap into your habits. What makes us drink this? Just like I said, it's more about something that we get from this more so than it is just the vodka itself. So one of the things that we would do in habit mapping when it comes to food relationship and trying to figure out the habits that you do is, for all of us, what we would try to, in order to change this habit to a better one, what we have to tap into is what makes us want this? What about this that makes us want to come together and we believe that this should be a centerpiece of it? All right?
Endorphins.
It could be endorphins, but I don't think it's even that. I think again, I said it. It's
Here we go.
Fellowship,
with
yeah.
men.
Yeah.
It's something about alcohol that helps us fellowship better, right?
Yeah.
So
The
it doesn't-
truth.
right?
Serum. True
I
serum.
never liked that nigga.
Right.
It kills whatever tension. It just
Jesus.
Water is the wine, not water. turn water into wine,
Right.
not like juice. It's like, it's crazy, but you're absolutely, I never thought about it that way, right? It is the fellowship
Right.
around it, but we don't know why that is the fellowship.
Right.
We don't know why we do that.
So the way to change the habit, this habit isn't necessarily going to change until we figure out what we're getting from that. And if it's fellowship, then we can find, if this is something that brings us together, in order to change the habit, we have to replace it with something that can still bring us together.
I'll give you, I want to say one quick thing, right? And this is just in relation to what you're saying. This is yours, right? This is just in relation to what you're saying when it boils down to, again, when it boils down to alcohol. This is what we're talking about, guys. We're talking about just alcohol. This is just an example, but he's giving many great gems, but just alcohol is what we're talking about because that's probably
Sonik
the biggest
Gemz.
vice in the world is alcohol. They'll make it in jail. They'll make it in the poorest countries. They will find a way to find, but what does it do? I think what alcohol, I'm going to give you quick two examples too. What alcohol does is it kills inhibition.
Right.
So the fellowship is great, but it's like, all right, if I got a beef, let's say me and Fly got a beef.
Right.
And we both take a couple shots. It's like, you know what, son, I don't like what you did. He's like, yo, I don't like what you did. We would have never said that if we didn't take the shot.
We didn't take the shot.
You know what I mean?
Right.
We would have never said, we've just been mean mugging each other this whole time, afraid of some weird thing. Right. But then it kills for
that
some
wall.
reason,
It kills that
kills
border, it
that
kills that wall.
inhibition.
Right.
That's what these things
Or liquor
tend
purge.
to do. Yeah, right. It makes you right. It's the purge, right? It just purges you for some reason. I necessarily don't even know what's
said
in
encourage.
alcohol that makes that happen.
Right.
Right? And then
I fucking love
I knew
you.
this dude. I knew this guy that I went to the gym with, and this was like part two. We need to stop? No. He would come to the gym. I've never seen anything like this ever.
Right.
With a bottle of like Grey Goose, literally. He would down a bottle of
Before he worked out?
like that before he worked out.
Right.
I've never seen
It's doing
this.
the same thing.
And he would just, like the little mini bottle, not the big bottles,
Oh,
like
okay.
the
I
little
was
mini
about to
bottles. And he would come in, the first thing he'd do, guzzle the whole bottle,
Right.
toss the bottle, and he would do 1,000,000 reps. And I was like, why? First of all, how's your heart still pumping? Because I'm thirsty after a couple of reps.
Right.
How are you, because alcohol dehydrates you.
Right.
How are you able to like sustain this? Like,
Right.
how are you able to do this? So I didn't understand there's a weird thing with alcohol in particular. Is you're making me think about this, like the fellowship aspect, the inhibitions aspect. But you're right, there is something around people gathering around this.
Right.
That's a thing. But health-wise, I think people always trying to find a balance of how can we keep doing this and still, let's say, eliminate everything else. But we still, like you said, like you were saying earlier, like I still drink, I still do my thing,
Right.
but still understanding the balance. I think people have a problem with the balance.
That's what it
like
is.
not knowing when it's okay to say no. Like you good, like tonight I'm not doing it. Like you like, yo, tonight I'm not doing it. I'm good.
Right.
But tomorrow you may be like, oh, I might have one. You know what I
Right.
mean? And chill. Why do you think people have such an issue with the balance of it, of trying to, like, why do you think that is?
Again, it's the human nature of 0 to 100. It's the human nature. It's something about that gray area, bro. It's something about, I mean, you can pick anything. It's something about just like poor and rich. It's something about being in that middle class that people hate. Like, oh, if I'm not rich, I'm poor, and if I'm not rich, I'm not successful.
That's a
you know what I'm saying? It's like,
factory.
but what about the, you know what I'm saying? Like, what about the gray area that it takes to get there? Like, you're not gonna show gratitude for
That
that.
goes
You're
into,
not gonna show.
the perspective of how you thinking about it. Because some people relate rich to money as opposed to being rich with family.
Right.
Or, you know, some things of that nature.
Right.
Or-
All mindset. It's all
Yeah, it
about
could be a
how you're
mindset.
thinking about
Or
it.
just if they could be honest with themselves.
That
A
too.
lot of
And
people are not honest with
aren't.
they're not
A lot
honest
of
with
people
themselves.
aren't. That's
A
a
lot
good
of
way.
people are not honest with themselves.
Accountability.
The
I'm
accountability.
telling y'all
Right,
all
right,
times,
right.
accountability.
That gotta be hard for you because you know what? Like a lot of the things that you're saying is a lot of it is so much cerebral and psychological. So it's more therapeutic than it is almost fitness.
Right.
It's more like getting you into a mind state first.
One of my brands is called "It's Bigger Than Fitness."
It is.
It's bigger than fitness.
It is.
And I
It
learned
is.
that a
It
couple
really
years.
is.
It's bigger
Facts.
than fitness.
Yeah, it is.
It
Most
really
people
is.
are thinking about fitness. It's way bigger than that. Most people are even compensating. Again, reason why I told that first part of my story is because the reason why I started working out at first had nothing to do with fitness. It was a compensatory mechanism for me feeling too small and me not feeling good about myself and me not feeling confident about myself. It had nothing to do with fitness. Most people don't get there. Yeah, it really starts with having nothing to do with the act of fitness. Most people don't love the act of fitness. Most people don't love the act of working out. It's really compensation for some other area that they lack. And again, until you can do all the fitness in the world, again, it's gonna last for 1 year, 2 years, 4 years. If it's for the girls, you're gonna do that until you get married to somebody and that's not impressed by your muscles. And guess what? You're not gonna do no more.
Factory ain't gonna work out no more.
You're not gonna work out no more.
That's a factory.
So unless you build the foundation on something that is more sturdy and strong than just a compensatory mechanism, or have a true understanding of why it is that you are really doing it, you're not going to have success. Right. And that's why my first phase is so important. And then, I never really got to your question, but to answer your question, the next phase is goal-oriented nutrition and exercise. So there is a lane for all of this that we're talking about. So you weren't completely wrong for having the doctor tell you something and you being afraid of that, and then you doing exactly what it takes in that moment to get there as quickly as possible.
Right.
That I'm not saying that is wrong, but that's not the best starting point. You know why? Because again, you don't build a foundation. But if you build a foundation of just small, healthy habits first, when you decide to not be vegan, but just try veganism for this extended period of time, because you might have high blood pressure. So they say that plant-based lowers it. You do it, get your blood pressure low, but then you can go back to the healthy habits that you built because you built the foundation in phase 1. Understanding that I can have this without going overboard. I can have this sometimes, but it's what I do most. It's what I do most.
Factory.
It's what I do most.
Love that.
You get what I'm saying?
Sonik Gemz.
I take that because I might indulge in a soda every once in a blue, definitely liquor. But one thing was always in the forefront for me was water. I always drink water regardless what the situation called for. And I'm proud of myself for that.
All of it adds up, man. All of it adds up.
So, tell about any future projects, what you're working on now, and just any way I can get in contact.
I still want to know what you think about your these fast food chains with this healthy lifestyle.
The Impossible
McDonald's
Burger.
fish fillet or the Burger King.
The fish fillet is not healthy.
And that's what I keep saying. That's my opinion. Who told you fish fillet is healthy? I've met a bunch of people that be like, I don't eat McDonald's, but because
fish fillet.
Exactly.
I've
Really?
seen that too.
Well, the industry is telling that. That's why I want to separate myself from the industry. I don't want to do that. I want to be a part of my industry, but I want to be one of the forefronts of my industry to help us do things differently that's actually going to breed results. And what I mean by breed results is I'm not talking about the 30 pounds in 90 days that you got because you did the New Year's resolution and then we see you in 2 years and you gained all 30 pounds.
Plus
back.
more.
That's not success. That's why to your question, diets do not work. Diets have a 99.9. Only because nothing is completely absolute.
Right.
We all know that.
Yeah.
So I can't say 100, but they damn near 99.9. They have a 99.9% failure rate. You know why? Because none of them get to the root cause or the root problem, and nobody can sustain any of these diets.
Right.
Because of the purpose that they're doing them from. We're doing everything for the sake of weight loss except healthy habit change. So we're trying to, instead of just making these gradual changes, like I said, we're watching What the Health and thinking, I got to become a vegan tomorrow. And you're only going to do that for so long because that's not who you are. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Your body is going to work. Your body is smarter than you are. Your body is always in defense mode. If you've been doing this for so long and then you tomorrow you try to turn around and make this change, your body's going to fight against you. Mm-hmm. Mentally, physically, it's going to make it harder for you to make that change because your body doesn't like change. Your body likes what they call homeostasis, which is a state of, general state of being, just staying in
normalcy, right.
Absolutely.
Just where it's at. It likes where it's at. Whether that's good or bad, it likes that place.
Yeah. It's comfortable there,
It's comfortable there, and it likes comfort. So, you know, I can give the example of environment. So somebody brought up environment earlier. Environment is one of the reasons why we fail as well, is because our environment out there is so terrible. So if you don't create your own, you know, health promoting environment, you're going to fail simply because your body is going to work and your mind is going to work against you. Rationally speaking, this is how it works. It can be the healthiest food place right there. Let's say that food place right there, they say that is the most health promoting place on the planet. We know this. Like, again, just like the pizza and the fruit thing we talk about. We know that the fruit is better, but we eat the pizza, right? Mm-hmm. That place will help you live longer, right? But you have a honey bun right here, right? Right in front of you with a Coke, right? And you're dead ass hungry. It doesn't matter who told you, and you knowing that place is the healthiest. Rationally speaking, your mind is going to tell you it makes no sense for you to get up, walk down the steps, walk out the door, walk over
down
there
that way
before you got to get back to work in 30 minutes. That makes absolutely no sense. It also makes a lot of sense to go get that because it's health food, health promoting. But more than anything, what makes the most sense is, bro, you're hungry, eat this honey bun right in front of you.
It's right here.
Right here.
Right.
Yeah, it's convenient.
It's convenient.
Convenience and
It's-
comfortability.
yeah.
And,
Right,
yep.
but your mind, your body is not thinking. Convenience is what's the two parts of your brain? You have your man, I'm losing my train of thought, but it's two parts of your brain. I'll come back to it, but convenience is the part that we rationalize. You create a convenience in your mind. Your mind is your third eye is not thinking convenience.
Right,
It's
subconsciously.
subconscious.
Right.
Your conscious mind says convenience. That's what your conscious mind has rationalized with convenience. But your subconscious is literally protection. If you are hungry, being hungry is a state of, that's not a good state to be in. Being hungry is really being malnourished. Whenever we're hungry, that likely means we need nutrition and our blood sugar is down.
Right,
So
very much
hunger, the feeling of hunger is the body's signal saying eat.
Yeah.
Right.
So your subconscious is really just going to tell you eat whatever is around to protect you because we need nutrition and nourishment.
Survival.
So survival will
Survival.
say eat what's right in front of you. So if you don't create a healthy environment, you don't win. Not because you don't know, you don't win because the honey bun is right here and
there,
it makes
buddy.
more sense to eat that than it does to go downstairs, walk out the door and walk across the street.
Take
and go
those
get
few
your food.
steps to make it better.
You know what I'm saying?
You know, some might be. I tell you, like, again, you know what I mean. Like growing up in Brooklyn, New York. I'm just listening to you talk. It's not something I never thought about before. But like realistically, there wasn't a fucking healthy option
No.
around
And you know,
at
that's
all.
that's another
like,
thing what I wanted to bring up. Like, in our area, none of that was
not
available.
One
Demographic
thing.
None of that was, yeah,
not
right.
And that's,
one thing.
That's what's terrible. That's why I don't want to personal train no more. That's why I haven't said that part yet, but you asked what I got in the future. I personal train now, but my ambition, I love it. I love personal training. I love one-on-one, but that's no longer my ambition. In order for me to have a real effect on this epidemic that is going on
It is an
of terrible
epidemic.
health,
It is.
I ain't gonna do it in personal training. I can't do it by just helping one person in one session in an hour or 30 minutes. I gotta do shit like that. I gotta find some way to create something that a committee or something that can get into these communities that we need and just create a better environment. Because again, if we can create a better environment, people would do better. Again, from a rational standpoint.
I'm gonna give you one quick. I'm gonna just say one quick thing, and then I'm gonna let you know we're gonna wrap up.
All right.
What makes unhealthy food so attractive? Besides the fact that it tastes amazing, it does.
Well, that's what the
That-
mental state does.
That's
to
how,
you.
like Flock said earlier, the chicken shack. We grew up with that.
Right.
In every block in our hoods, that's all it was. Super fried chicken, fries. When you was hungry, you came home from school, playing ball all day. What did you do? Yo, you went and got you a couple of pieces of chicken and some fries. Got you a Pepsi, because that's all we drank up
Right,
top.
right.
Or a couple of slices of pizza
Right.
and a Pepsi, because that's all we drank, right? It was the same thing. But what also, I'm sorry, that was my fault. You good? I'm sorry. What is, I think, another thing that makes these things a bit difficult is because also in these communities, I agree with you in saying that we need to have something that comes in that changes the narrative, but also this food is cheaper.
Right.
It's like affordable.
Right.
So I remember growing up, I would have $2, $2.
Right.
I can go to the Chinese restaurant, get something called Big Leg.
Right.
You know what Big Leg is? I don't know either. No idea what it was.
Right.
But it was fried.
But it was,
Right.
yeah.
And it came with fried rice. You hear what I'm saying?
Right, yeah, yeah.
Fried chicken, fried whatever it is, fried rice for $2.
Right.
But that goes towards the 2 C's: convenience and comfortability.
That's what I'm saying. But it was affordable, right? Because that's all I had was $2. So
Right.
I knew every day I can go and buy some Big Leg and go whatever
Right.
and do that. So do you think that people would choose a healthy alternative if it was more affordable for them to do that?
Possibly. And the only reason why I say possibly is because, again, there are certain demographics where we know, that it's like they can't afford it. But again, it's a little bit deeper than that. It's the psychology of it.
Big
So
time.
again, until you get into the psychology, people are going to continue to do what it is that they know. You get what I'm saying? So until that changes, nothing else would change. But then when you go up a little bit in class, ultimately, again, you can afford without trying to be, because I come from that. I come from not always having and not not having monies and stuff like that. So I'm not speaking for somebody that's like from the Joneses and like trying to speak down on people. Ultimately, what happens is there were times where I didn't have much money, but I still chose to invest in healthier options because I began to do better because I knew better. At the end of the day, you know what I mean? And then also, again, when you learn, because one thing that's likely, unless the whole economy changes, it's always going to be, it shouldn't be like this in the area of food because food is essential for us. Mm-hmm. But it's just like anything else. Low quality food, just like, a Honda is going to be cheaper than a Ferrari. Mm-hmm. Low quality food is likely always going to be cheaper than higher quality food simply because of production.
You can take that into any aspect of life. Like if you buying cheaper parts to build a plane, more than likely that plane is gonna break down.
It could break
way
down
later.
Yeah.
Right. So
you gotta invest.
Exactly.
You know
exactly
what I'm saying?
What I was gonna say.
And when you make a shift in your mind, you'll begin to see that a lot of people can afford. It's just what are you willing to sacrifice? Because that's what you got to do. So it's a lot of low income housing, but guess what they got? Cable.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you would spend $170 a month on cable,
Factory.
but getting quality food costs too much. That's why you can't afford it.
Factory.
Because you're spending $170. What if you cut your cable off and you invested that $170 into food?
I agree.
Can't
And I
be
want to.
watch anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
I just want to say something too. There's a song. It's I want to say it's Damian Marley and like Barrington Levy, and there was a song about that, and that whole concept was like, yo, you'll put like $20 of gas in your car, but you'll spend like $2 on food. You know what I mean?
Right.
When
You fuel your car, more,
right?
You know what I'm saying?
More than yourself,
right?
Yeah.
And
So you know what I mean?
Even with that analogy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Even with that analogy,
Because it's like
there's premium, and what we'll talk about.
Right,
what we'll
right.
talk about. There's regular. There's 87, and there's what, the 93.
yeah.
There's 87 or 93.
Right.
So you could choose 93 is probably a little bit better for your car.
Right.
But most people are like, this is 243, and fucking like, what is it? And 93 is like 350.
Yeah.
Like I'm not paying that.
But I guarantee you, if you got a car that take premium and you don't put that premium in your car, what's going to happen?
It's gonna
to
break
shit?
your whole
That shit
car
gonna fuck
down.
you up. So you got to pay
Word.
for it. We talked about this earlier. You got to pay for it on the front end or the back. As much as it sucks for low income, demographics, we're gonna have to pay for it one way or another. So guess what? This same demographic that can't afford, to buy higher quality food, guess what they're gonna have to do in 10 years when they got diabetes? They're gonna have to pay for the medication. And guess what? If they can't afford to pay for the medication, it's gonna spread. They're gonna have to get their leg amputated. And then guess what? They're gonna have to pay to get that done. You know what I'm saying? They gotta pay money to get that done. And then they bedridden. So at some point, you just gotta have the mindset. I gotta get it. I gotta figure this thing out. You know what I'm saying? And until you change that, whatever they put around you is not going to matter. But the reason why I want to change is because, again, if you make it just more easily accessible, then that's where the rationale comes in. If you make it to where in your hood, where, you know what I'm saying, none of us are going to be perfect, but if you had more farmers markets outside of your door when you walked out, and the little spots like that were 12 blocks away, if you was getting that 10 out of 10 times, if they put a market, or 1 block away or across the street, you might only do that 5 out of 10 times. You know why? Because when it's cold, you're going to be like, man, I'm just going to the market. I'm just going to go get some mangoes and some wild rice from the market, as opposed to going to that Chinese spot that I love that's 12 blocks away. Yeah. Rationale and your environment will just help you change in habit, because it's human nature to not want to have to be inconvenienced and not have to do something that just is illogical. It's illogical to be hungry and walk 12 blocks than it is to walk outside your crib and get that mango. It's completely illogical, and whether you think that or not, your subconscious mind is going to rationalize that shit more often than not. You get what I'm saying? So environment is big, and one day I want to play a role, in stuff like that, just helping us be able to bring, better quality food, and just more knowledge, and be more intent on what really needs to be done when it comes to change a habit, because it doesn't have to be all changed overnight, and it doesn't actually take what we think. I'll leave you guys with one of these things. They got something called blue zones. Blue zones are the healthiest. They're the healthiest patch of nation of people, so to speak, and spread out in the world. All right, it's only a few blue zones, and blue zones are the healthiest areas of people, and they do nothing like we do. So America spends billions of dollars on workout equipment, working out, going hard in the paint like you're doing. These blue zones, when they went and they interviewed these people, they don't do none of that stuff. They don't own no weights. Their average life expectancy is 96, average. So when your average life expectancy is 96, that means you're right there in the middle. So that means that the other half of these people, for the most part, well, median is in the middle, but for average, that means most of these people are living well into their hundreds. 100%. And they don't own no treadmills and all of that stuff. They are taking care of themselves in other ways. They are active in terms of just moving around. They are gardening. They're walking to their friend's house. They drink. They drink and they live. But you know what comes along with the drinking? Again, the big thing is fellowship. What they're doing is they're going to their neighbor's house and they're drinking glasses of wine. But in that moment, they're also getting health and health promotion from fellowshipping. That's love. Health is love as well. You know what I'm saying? So they're getting fellowship. They know their purpose. A lot of us are not healthy because we have no purpose here on this earth. So we thinking it's the food, but we don't even know why we're here. On a day-to-day basis, we wake up and we have no purpose for being here. So we have no true purpose of even living. So that's why your health is suffering. And we don't even think about that. In the blue zones, some of them people that's living to 111, they ask them, why are you here? What's your purpose? I was only born to be a grandmother. They have 12 grandchildren, and they say that's the only reason why they're here on earth. So that's why they can stay alive, because they know I can't leave my grandkids. You know what I'm saying? So they're getting life from just knowing that they have affirmed their purpose. Spirituality, where did they get their purpose from? I didn't make up my purpose. I got my purpose from the higher being, from the Most High. He affirmed that for me. He told me that that's why I'm here. So spirituality, fellowship and community, nutrition, physical activity, all of that stuff, purpose in life. Right. We think it's bigger than fitness, bro. It's bigger than fitness.
And I mean, we think, hey, let's give a clap, man. We gotta this has been amazing, and honestly, I think for all of us, we can keep going forever and ever, man. Right. So brother, tell us your plugs, as far as your online or whatever you can be found at.
For sure. Mainly what I use right now is Instagram. You can follow me at IB. That's IB as in boy _ yo _ trainer. Also, you can follow my company, Fitted Now. It says 24 right here, but this is going to be a clothing line. New company that I just made, Fitted Network of Wellness, FITTED _ now, NOW. Website coming soon, fittednetworkofwellness.com. That'll be up soon. I appreciate you guys for having me. health is wealth.
Clap it up one more time. for my man, IB.
Definitely dope. Definitely dope.
Ladies and gentlemen, you
And I
already
hope
know
you
what
made,
it is.
you made a connection with the last brother that was here.
Yeah.
Because I feel like y'all could definitely coincide with each other. Him with the design, you with the
fitness
fitness
is life's journey.
And it seems like he appreciates his lifestyle also as far as
Absolutely.
health. So I think y'all can definitely help each other out.
That's what we do. Sonik Gemz, again, hopefully.
Bring the spotlight.
Well, we might have to make this a monthly thing.
I would
love that. I would love that. Because I have
would be
so
dope.
many more
Absolutely.
questions.
Yeah.
We have to.
I
We
have
can
so
do
many
that.
more questions, and I want to bring some women on here that also look at fitness. Women look at fitness totally different because they're, just even mechanically, physiologically, they're built totally different.
Right.
So it becomes a whole different ball game when it comes down
So
to
my
that.
partner is my business partner, as well. My girlfriend is my business partner as well. So it'll be great to have. She was supposed to be here today, but she had a wedding that she was in.
Yeah.
So y'all gotta have. If y'all thought I was amazing, wait till she get on this show. So
Let's
y'all
do
gotta
it.
have us
Let's
both.
make
do
it
it.
happen.
Let's
do
make
that.
it happen. Yeah,
Absolutely.
you guys come by. We'll
She
we'll
might
make
have
it.
y'all folks crying here. Y'all might be.
We need that.
Y'all,
We need
y'all
that.
ain't-
That's what we all about, though.
I think for that show.
I ain't crying, dog.
I think for that show. I think for that
we can
show,
do
we
that.
should have an audience. Like, I think we might do some where it's like we got a whole audience, literally, of people that can come up and ask questions. Because I have so many
Q&A.
questions. A Q&A.
Q&A.
Yeah, we'll
do
do
that.
it. We'll get a
Set that
spot.
up.
You guys
Set
come
that
in.
up.
Boom. That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
set
Yeah,
that
we'll
up.
come in. You guys come in, and we'll have a spot, and we'll have an audience so people can come in and ask questions
about
live,
fitness.
live on the podcast, and they can just talk about it. Because we're all curious. Again, just like Neff was saying, we can continue talking about this forever. Because I have so many questions.
Right.
I have a million questions to talk about this, even about the whole everything you were saying.
Right.
So having that, I think that will be super dope. You could bring your girl, and we'll
And
do
that
bring
would,
that
everybody.
and
that
have
would
the
be dope
Q&A.
because we can put together, health, black love,
Yeah.
the perspective of different things.
Maybe we can do a TV
on both
show.
sides.
Sonic Gemz, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting to the next level. Ladies and gentlemen, Sonik Gemz, H1, Narrator Revolve, for Dave, Flacco, my man IB is in the building. Make sure you check out
IB, your
everybody.
trainer on
Chris
the
Hudson,
IG.
Life's Journey. We thank them for coming in. Yo, we will catch you guys in 2 weeks. Holla at your boy. Flock, leave us with some
Swag.
music, bro. Leave it with some music.
Oh, hold on.
Leave us with some dope shit. You was playing some dope shit earlier. Leave us with some. What is this right now,
This
Flock?
is Travis Scott. Shout out to Travis Scott.
Shout out to
Ice
Trav
in the
Scott.
room. You got to feel that vibe.
SonicGems.com, ladies and gentlemen. Buzzsprout. Hold on, let me pull up all the joints. iTunes, Sonik Gemz. Everything is Sonik Gemz Podcast. iTunes, Google Play, Apple Music, YouTube,
All the platforms. We
every
there, baby.
platform. We are on every single platform there is. You heard? Twitter, Sonik Gemz on Twitter. Check out our Twitter page.
Twitter still popping?
Yeah.
It is for us.
I haven't been on Twitter.
It is for Sonik Gemz. It is for us. Sonik Gemz on Twitter, ladies and gentlemen. Sonik Gemz Podcast on Facebook. Sonik Gemz Podcast on IG. Sonik Gemz Podcast on every platform. Make sure you check us out and continue. We should
bring Snapchat back. Sonik Gemz on Snapchat.
We are on Snapchat.
We
Sonik
can do
Gemz on
the
Snapchat.
For the little segments like these, it'll be dope. Give them little gems, hints at a time.
That's a fact. Sonik Gemz. Make sure you check us out.